And we are live. Hello, everyone. Happy 4th. Hope you all can hear me and welcome aboard on this July 3rd, Independence Day weekend. Happy 246 United States of America. Welcome aboard, everyone, to another Arc Lounge. I know it's been a bit. It was a crazy weekend last weekend. All right, that's how I'll leave it at. But I was up for a pretty long time for most of that weekend, just making sure nothing got burned down. That's all we'll leave it at, because you guys know I'm Catholic, so yeah, exactly. So hello everybody, hello Ethan, hello Ricardo, hello Chicago Rail fan. Yes, that is, well, it's technically not on a train because it's a 3D render, but yes, that is a bar on a train. That's what it would be. If I were to make a train, that's exactly what the bar would look like, honestly. Alrighty, what's up, Ricardo? Yes, hello there, happy 4th, Zachary. So, man, it has just been a nice weekend, and we got the air conditioner working back here again. And as you guys can see, I got some nice stuff over there. I would say the last time I would call America basically America. That 48 star flag over there. Yeah, I know. It is real nice, and I got the little roundel as well. It's a pretty nice setup, so I hope you guys will enjoy. So we're gonna go through we'll do this quickly. We're gonna go through some news. I'm gonna see how quick I can bang out all the news, and then we're just gonna open up the floor for everybody to go ahead and speak. You want to share anything, etc. It's gonna be a nice evening, and to celebrate that, I mean, what could be more American than key lime pie? I know. You guys were expecting apple pie, but it is key lime pie. I haven't had dessert today, so I'm going to go ahead and give myself some dessert. Which actually, key lime pie is actually an American dessert from my favorite era of the history of the United States, the Gilded Age, where trains ruled, where America was just breaking through in the Industrial Revolution. And then you have people going ahead and complaining, oh, but Upton Sinclair in the jungle. First of all, Upton Sinclair was a communist, okay? Second of all, he lied throughout most of the writing his book, The Jungle, okay? Most of that stuff didn't happen, and most people still lived in agricultural areas. It wasn't so urbanized yet in the United States. But in the urban areas, you still had a lot of more freedom in order to go around with trains, with interurbans, with streetcars. So it's a much better deal, honestly. All right, so let's get going. Let's go ahead and go through this news real quickly and see what's going on. But yeah, we got there's been a lot of stuff going on in Supreme Courts, but Texas Central Railroad did get a win. Finally, after years and years and years of waiting. Well, not too many years. It's just been since 2016. All right, 2016. So it's only been 6 years, right? 6 years to wait in order to go ahead. In 6 years, we could have already built this railroad and done. But no, unfortunately, because of the zoning laws in this country, because of the deliberation, because of the politics of court deliberations in this country, it has delayed what could be now. So the things with Texas Central Railway, if you guys we as we talked about last week, the CEO resigned, a lot of other people resigned, but as I said, if this project is still, it's not dead, but it's very close to being dead. It's right now on life support, but this just gave it that jolt in order to get going. Okay, that was the defibrillator right here in order to keep Texas Central Railway back on track. So I do think it does have a chance. I think this is now bringing in a lot more support and a lot more positive news to this project. So that's a good thing, honestly. You can just go through this real quick. The Texas Central Railroad and Infrastructure's long-delayed high-speed rail project received a much-needed win from the Supreme Court. Okay, and we do know about the financial woes and the leadership vacuum. All right, so, and as we do know, the law in 1907 for the Transportation Code was established originally for interurbans, okay, for electric railways. that they would have the eminent domain. Okay, this does apply over to Texas Central Railway. It is an electric train, okay, and it does serve the same sort of role as an interurban. Okay, it's very much the same thing, like a certain amendment. Okay, if they had certain technology back then, it still carries on to today, right? You know which amendment I'm talking about, okay? But it's the same sort of thing, right? It doesn't matter if the technology changes, it still serves the same sort of purpose, okay? So the justices were divided how to interpret a 1907 law in the Transportation Code that established rights of eminent domain for railroads. And this was a 5-3 decision. So it wasn't that close. Usually Supreme Court decisions are pretty much that sort of split. The law was originally passed to allow small electric rail cars to ferry passengers short distances between adjacent towns and up and down main streets alongside horse-drawn carriages. Huddle says. So there was a dissent over here. The court resurrects a 115-year-old statute governing interurban electric railway sisters to the trolley car that were popular in the late 19th century but largely disappeared in the 1930s with the rise of private automobile. I wonder why. Well, not the 1930s. It was really more the 1940s, but that's just semantics. So there we go. It blinks reality to conclude, as the court does, that the same trolley car statute confers eminent domain power on private entities aspiring to build in 2022 a massive $30 billion infrastructure project capable of supporting an elevated 672-foot-long high-speed train as it traverses hundreds of miles and thousands of privately owned parcels between Houston and Dallas. So that's basically it. There's nothing more to really go on. So that's good news, honestly. Very good news. Now, will it be able to now take that going forward and be able to get the funding, get the leadership that it needs in order to push Texas Central Railway forward? I honestly think it does with this decision. I honestly think it has have a much better sort of thing. I'm sorry, a better chance now than it did before, prior to this news. Renell Reed is saying that Disney canceled the Brightline station. Okay, we'll take a look at that. That's definitely something I did not hear about. There's a whole bunch of other things. Of course, we're going to talk about the Amtrak accident and everything else. Okay, so on June 13th, as we already know, Carlos Aguilar stepped down after 6 years of serving as CEO with Texas Central Railway. Okay, again, you can see sort of the timeline over here. This whole court case started in 2016, right? There's no swift justice in this country anymore. It depends. Your definition of swift really depends on what timeline you're operating on, right? And honestly, 6 years is really not swift to move these things forward. So it took so long, and it took basically his whole entire tenure for this court case to go through the courts, through the lower courts up to the Texas Supreme Court, and it's been close to almost a year since this came in. I believe it was around September or August of last year, I think, when the Supreme Court took this up, or even before then. But it's been a while. So no one has been selected yet to replace Aguilar. Reports have surfaced that Mike O'Bowie, who specializes in financial advisory and corporate restructuring at FTI Consulting, according to his company bio, is at the helm for the time being. I'm not too familiar with him, so I would not know what his track record is. Texas Central Railway did not respond for comment. However, contrary to such unsupported speculation, Texas Central remains open for business under its new management. It's continuing to seek further investment and is moving forward with the development of this high-speed train. Texas Central looks forward to this court's opinion in the case, the Texas Central appellate attorney Marie Yates wrote. Okay, and that was before the court came up with the actual decision before. So that's basically all they have said since then. There has been really, as of yet, that's the only thing we've heard from Texas Central Railway is just from their attorney. That's just been about it. All right, so we're going through this. We're 10 minutes in, and there's another thing from Railway Age if you guys want to look at that. I'll put the links if you guys are interested, but it's really just more going into the laws exactly and what they really mean, etc. All right. So Amtrak. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have heard about this crash in Missouri. And it's, again, for the same sort of reasons that Brightline has also gotten into crashes. Is because there was a car in the middle of the way. And again, most of the crossings in most of the country are unattended. There's no gates, there's no lights, none of that stuff. Most of them, in most other places, usually don't have any of that, especially in most rural areas. So, and you can see this. This is a pretty rural area. You can see the corn stalks over here, which Missouri's got their corn stalks pretty high up. It's still taking a bit in some places over here in Indiana, with all the. You get floods, then you get droughts. Then you get floods, then you get droughts this year. Hasn't been such a great growing year. So you can see here more than 200 people were on board at the time of the crash. First reported around 12:43 near Mendon, Missouri, according to the Missouri State Highway Patrol. 4 people killed in the crash, including 3 people on the train and 1 person in the dump truck. Okay, it was a truck. It had to be. It wasn't a car. It had to be a truck in order for this to go down. So that's what it was. I apologize if I did not make it clear. It was a truck. So it was a Southwest Chief train number 4, about 100 miles northeast of Kansas City. Okay, and you've seen some of the pictures of the passengers crawling out of the train that's flat on its right side there, trying to get out, helping other people out. Tending care to people, etc. It's what it is, and it was going about 87 miles an hour, which usually Amtrak trains in this part of the country, they usually do go around 90 miles an hour, and that's about the fastest those old GE engines can really go consistently. That's really about it with that, and of course the National Transit Safety Board is going ahead and doing an investigation onto it. So they'll go ahead and see into that. But this is pretty interesting. So there was some Boy Scouts on board, and they were going ahead and helping out, rendering aid over to passengers, helping them to get out, etc. So that's a pretty good thing, right? There's still some good people out there amongst the youth, amongst our generations here. So yeah. And there's some speculation whether Amtrak was aware of the crossing, that it was an unsafe crossing, etc. So there's going to be more investigation into that, okay? So we won't know until then. All right, and there's some photos that you can see over here. Let me see if I can move this over to the side. I know I'm going a little bit kind of fast over here, guys, but I'm trying to get through this as much as possible. That's why we need grade separation. The problem is that you can't grade separate the whole entire country, right? There's some places that are much lower risk, right? Now, I know there's some speculation that like some farmers said that this was a dangerous crossing, etc. It's in a rural area. It's not. There's not too many people going back and forth. Honestly, it shouldn't be that big of a deal in order to allow to go ahead and. It's really more the deal. It's not the trains that is the problem, or the railroads where they're situated. It's more to do with the roads, right? The most of these tracks were for the roads ever came in existence. Okay, it was the local states and the federal government who put in these roads, mostly the states, and just put them over the railroad tracks. Honestly, that's what it is. I mean, we've seen. We've seen states go ahead and put roads wherever they feel like it, even on top of graves, to the point that you have graves in the middle of roads. Like we have the one in Indiana over here, the grave in the middle of the road. There was a graveyard. Family did not want to move their the grave markers, and they did not want to move the bodies. But the state went ahead and plowed through the road anyway, so they put the grave marker right in the middle of the road. It just splits up a little bit and just keeps going, like right over it. It's pretty silly. Especially in rural areas. I mean, there's so many other places you can go ahead and make a road. But yeah, you can see over here some of the pictures from the accident over here. There's nothing much of that truck left. You can see how much it just completely demolished it. Which you can understand, why a lot of these people, if you get injured in an accident with a train and a car like some of these people have with Brightline, you are extremely, extremely lucky. that is a less than 1% chance that you're able to survive that. It's near instantaneous. You're going to get, yeah. Look at that. That is the whole. It's just the bottom part of the chassis and some parts of the engine with there on the fuel tank. That's about it. You know. Yeah. There's nothing left of that truck. Look at and that an axle is just rolled down the road. Yeah. And you can see here there was some. There was some video, but we're not going to go ahead and see that video over here. All right, so let's take it up from the air. Let's see what's going on with our friends in the friendly skies, the airlines, which have not been having a great time for a number of reasons. So this is over from Zero Hedge, and there's other sources as well. I just found it because I honestly think they're one of the best when it comes to getting news. And linking to a whole bunch of places. Nearly 8,000 flights delayed on yesterday. Not yesterday, the day before. It's not Saturday anymore. So July 1st, 8,000 flights delayed. Okay? Now, there's a number of reasons for this, right? You have a lot of airline pilots who have retired early, right in the middle, in March, April, May of 2020 during the coup, right? There were a lot of people, and I know this at work, the same thing happened when they started laying off people or retiring people. There were a lot of people that I knew that had no plans of retiring anytime soon, and the company basically forced anybody that was over the age of 50 or 55, basically saying, look, you can take it or leave it. And this happened to my dad and when he worked at a company that he worked for 27 years. Right, and it just goes to show you, how American companies don't really value job security anymore. But this is something that happened with that, and usually they don't think long term. They think short term. It's like, oh, money down. We must get rid of workers first. Let's get rid of the people. They're not trying to find ways to should we cut down on benefits and share stocks for the people at the top? No, let's get rid of the people at the bottom. So that's basically that's part of it. Number one, there was a shortage of pilots. Number two, there's a lot of people who do not want to take the jabby. You can take that as you will, for a number of reasons. And a lot of airline companies, well, there have been some now through to some court cases, but they will not allow any pilots to fly without taking it. So you have that. Not as big of a deal as the shortage, as well as there's really a lot of demand for airline pilots, but there is very little supply. And the other factor is, of course, the oil crisis that has been going on right now, and the price of oil. So it is very expensive right now. If you think it's expensive to drive a car, it's pretty expensive now to get an airline ticket. If you guys have been seeing, the prices of airline tickets have just been soaring up. I think upwards of 120% in some places, 60% on average. It's pretty bad. Yeah. So this is what it is. It's what's going on. We're going into Independence Day holiday weekend, and concerned that our customers' plans will be disrupted once again. Okay, this is what happens when you don't have so many different options in order to get around. You only have two choices in the United States for most places. It's the car or it's the plane. Okay, and most of the times you're either delegated to just one. Okay, you're forced to take a car if you want to go anywhere in the city, or you're forced to take a plane if you want to drive or want to go anywhere more than 500 miles, more or less. Which makes no sense. Honestly, there should be a middle ground, which, especially for most of the flights here in the United States, which are short-haul flights, we should be having high-speed rail or rail transportation in order to put for that. But of course, the airlines don't want that to happen, and we've gone over multiple times as to the reason why. I mean, I still have this book right here. Remember Bob Crandall? The CEO and president of American Airlines back in the 80s and 90s? Retired down in Florida, then went ahead and gave in millions of dollars to Citizens Against the Railroad in order to kill Brightline. Remember that? Yeah. So obviously they have an agenda in order to keep this up. Okay. And people say, oh, it's a conspiracy. It's not. Who we talked about in this channel, right? They'll call you conspiracy theory. However, conspiracy is a group of people coming together in order to enact some sort of plan. Okay, so you can be charged, and we've said it again, for conspiracy in this country. You can be charged guilty. Okay, and it's not a theory; it's a fact. Notice that they never call you a liar, right? They only call you conspiracist. Well, it is a conspiracy. You know, it's out there. It's been happening. But, you know, anyway, what's going on over here is not a conspiracy at the moment with the airlines. It's just as what's called here, a perfect storm. Again, the demand is back. Pilots are flying record amounts of overtime, but are still seeing customers being stranded and their holiday plans ruined. So it really sucks for the airline pilots right now because they're being overworked. Okay, now this could, you know, you can have a lot of bad things that can happen. Okay, it just takes one little thing on top of one other little thing. I forget, it was a Malcolm Gladwell book called, I think, was it Outliers, or was it was another book by Malcolm Gladwell. If you guys aren't familiar with the author, talking about, you know, how things happen, right? Outliers. I think it was Outliers. I'm just going to run with that. But he was looking to a certain plane crash, and it's not one large thing that causes a plane crash, right? There's certain elements that add up into there. You know, the pilot was tired and forgot to check one thing over here. There was a crew member on the ground that forgot to do X sort of thing, etc. Right? And all these little things add up to one massive failure. Right? It's all this built up on top of the other. So that's the problem. Is now you have the factor of tired airline pilots. And it's not like on a train where a lot of trains now that do have automatic train control can be able to control themselves in some sort of accident scenario where the train is going over speed in certain corners and is able to automatically slow down, like in Japan or in other places, etc. No, if you're in the air, yeah, you're kind of screwed. So it's not a good thing. And yeah, you know. Transportation Secretary Pete. You know, you guys can read that there. I don't have to read it, honestly. Whatever you guys think of him or not, but you know, it's not looking good. I mean, that's not all of that too. It's the workers in the tower as well. You know, they're going to be overworked as well. So that's not good. All right, and we're getting there. Okay, I think we're gonna be able to get through this in 30 minutes. I think we're going on time. This is something interesting that I just found just going around the internet. As you well know, there is a population crisis going on with the birth rates declining in many first world countries for a number of reasons. But there's a study that was done back in 2020 talking about car seats as a form of quote-unquote birth control or quote-unquote depopulation, right? Because here's the thing. The number needed in order to keep a population growing in any country is about 2.1, right? It has to be more than you know, 3 or more children in reality in order to keep a population going, right? So the thing is that with car seats, and with the safety regulations that were done later on in the 90s, you know, basically getting parents in order to go ahead and get these car seats, did it push families to have less kids now because now they couldn't fit as many kids in cars. And you see this back in the day before then, where you had cars and station wagons. Remember when the station wagon, which was actually a thing? You know, I do think station wagon should be a thing and come back. That's honestly probably the best type of car. But no, they want to sell big giant crossovers and SUVs that are way underpowered so they can keep getting money, right? But that's what it is. You know, there's nothing wrong with money, but it's you know, when you have GM basically being run by, you know, these Mr. Krabs types of you know, people, it just, you know, it just goes to the extreme. So what it's saying over here, increasingly restrictive child safety laws, which progressed from securing only children under the age of 3 in safety seats in the 1980s to now securing children in safety seats at least until they're 8 years old, have had undeniable effect on having a third child, according to Jordan Nickerson and David Solomon, professors of finance at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston College. Okay, so MIT, right? That doesn't really mean much now when somebody says, "Oh, I have a college degree, I'm college educated." Yeah, so do I. I have a college degree. What does that mean, right? Or you went to Harvard or anything like that. If you've seen the people coming out of Harvard, that doesn't really mean much, okay? But you can see the effects right now, and you can kind of look at this. Where does it all line up, right? So according to their findings, the birth rate dropped 0.73% in women giving birth to a third child when the other two children still needed safety seats. The reduction may seem small, but The Economist reports it was a significant fraction of the 9.36% of women in the sample who became third-time mothers. The authors make a convincing case when combined with other variables. The reduction applied only to households with access to a car in the situations where a man was living with the mother and ostensibly occupying another seat in the car. And you can see, if you guys are, familiar with these sort of setups, with families, etc. This is the type of thing that you see. Now, this wasn't, a thing back then, back in the 80s and 90s. Heck, I remember sitting in the back of a truck when I was 4 years old, when we were moving stuff out of a warehouse or something like that. I remember that. That was pretty fun. You don't really see that many police officers really stopping cars because they didn't strap their kid in. It's kind of hard to see that, but it's still when people follow the law, right? Most of the time, people are going to follow the law no matter what, mostly. So that's sort of the issue. So, yeah, the car has done a lot more damage than we previously talked about before. It's even contributed to this. Let me see what we got next going on. So, yeah, so we got some good news, we got some bad news, and I think somebody has talked about that we are looking at Brightline being the station being canceled. So let me look at that up right now. That'll be pretty sad. I'm not. There we go. Okay, Brightline station at Walt Disney World has been canceled. Oh well. So I guess, yeah, that had to do with the. There we are. Let's go ahead and put this in the center here. There we go. Okay, so this is news to me too, guys. Okay, I just heard about this from you guys in the comments, which is why we have this as an open discussion, right? We get people here in the comments. This is the reason why it's a club. Okay, so plans to open a Brightline station at Disney Springs have been canceled. All right, so the change was first reported in the Orlando Business Journal. We already know where Brightline has stations, where they're gonna have stations. Earlier this month, Brightline received a grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvements CRISI grant program. The funding will go towards Central Florida's Sunshine Corridor and Brightline's proposed Tampa to Orlando intercity passenger rail project. And I figured that it had to do something with that because they chose that second route. That most likely they said, well, we can't do both routes. We're gonna have to, we got a grant coming in for this one. We got funding for this one. Disney hasn't really said how they're gonna really fund us, so we're just gonna go ahead and do this out right now. It could be in the long run a better choice because this is in a place where there's a lot more people going around, not just to Disney but going to other places. However, with the and I have heard about this that Disney has been getting pretty expensive to go to. There hasn't been that many people going to Disney. Although Disney Springs is a place, it's basically an outdoor mall. It's a big giant outdoor mall on a lakeside. So you don't need tickets to go in. You can just walk it. However, the parking is horrendous to get in there. They have more parking garages than there's actual acreage of shopping and places to actually walk around. I think like the last I checked, it was like 3 times more parking, which is normal anywhere in America, right? Unfortunately, in our current day and age, we're a big giant parking lot from sea to shining sea. But still, at that point, with the decline of people going to Disney, maybe this will work out in the end. I'm not quite sure. We're still getting it to Orlando. It's not like the project is done for anything like that. There's still multiple ways in order to connect to it. So in addition to the airport, one new station will be located at the Orange County Convention Center. and an alternative station will be placed near the original Disney Springs sites, albeit not on land owned by Disney taken together. The 3 integrated stations provide access to the largest economic and employment centers in Central. Okay, so let's read this again. In addition to the airport, all right, one new station will be located at the Orange County Convention Center. An alternative station will be placed near the original Disney Springs site. Okay, so the station isn't canceled, right? This is the thing why you have to read past the headlines, guys, and it's a good thing that we did it here, okay? It's a good thing that we actually read through this before, okay? Because the problem is people just read the headline like, oh, it's canceled, that's it. No, so they are actually doing a station near Disney Springs and not just doing it on Disney property. Okay, because Disney does own the land. If you guys have been hearing the certain news about what's been going on between the state of Florida and Walt Disney World and the Disney Corporation, between what rights they have on their land, etc., Disney basically owns their own land, which, we've gone over this before. It was not for the original intention of what they were going to do. It was for the original intention of making the experimental prototype city of tomorrow, aka Epcot, okay, which would have been an epic looking city, but unfortunately Walt Disney died and the company took it, well, let's go make another theme park instead of, saving America urban living. But that's what it is. So you get funnel cakes, but not cool monorails and futuristic looking Jetsons type of city that we should have gotten. Quite sad. So they were looking at different plans, alternative alignments, etc. So this is what they're going with. So it's not canceled, but they moved it to a different area, right? So it's not like it's all done forever. Okay, so this is you got to be careful. This is what I'm not a fan of journalists, right? Because they either lie, they make up stuff, or they intentionally change the wording in titles in order to just make it clickbait, and it's not exactly what they said. Okay, so it's not that, right? It's not that. So it seems like according to the comments over here, seems like Universal was willing to go ahead and fund a station or donate 13 acres according to this. David? Okay. Yeah, so that's another thing. Honestly, but it may work out better in the end. Right, so we got, there we are. That wasn't actually bad news at all, honestly. That was just a change in plans. That's basically all it was. Nothing good, nothing bad. Anyway, it's honestly, I see this as a net positive, because they're going into a place that, through the convention center, which originally was going to be the station for the Orlando maglev, if you guys remember that project. So that could have been something that would have connected there, but unfortunately that didn't go out through. But hey, at least now we got another station going in. All right, so you guys know my thoughts and feelings of sort of what's going on in the world, in other places, including with infrastructure. So billions of dollars have been given to a certain country, which I will not name, in order to go ahead and buy weapons. Meanwhile, our country is not having such a good time. So let's go ahead and play this. I had this back for Amtrak, so I was going to tie it in. Speaking of Amtrak Joe. Okay, so there we go. Let's go ahead and put this here.
We provided Ukraine with nearly $7 billion in security assistance since I took office. The next few days, we intend to announce more than $800 million more, including a new advanced Western air defense system for Ukraine, more artillery and ammunition, counter battery radars, additional ammunition for the HIMARS multiple launch rocket system we've already given.
Yeah, so that's basically what it is. The military-industrial complex needs its money, but, for the rest of America, just look like the Russians did go through Ohio, That's what it looks like there. That's the problem. It's like, we've talked about this before. We spend trillions of dollars overseas, but nothing over here in the United States in order to fix our own infrastructure, which has been having issues as well. And speaking of cyber attacks, I believe I heard there was a cyber attack last week or the week before at Wabtec. If you guys are familiar with Wabtec, that was GE sold off its railway business to Wabtec conglomerate, which basically does a lot of the railroad technology here in the United States. So what do we got in the next picture? Oh yeah, just some memes that I found online during the week. So this is somebody on Twitter, John Stone. Not familiar with this guy or his politics, so don't say anything about you guys already know my politics, so we don't have to go through it. So it's impossible to understand why photos of normal-looking European streets keep going crazy viral on here until you appreciate that a really big number of American town centers look something like this. Like we talked about, right? America did not look like this before. It was not a giant parking lot of a bunch of stroads. If you guys are familiar with the term the stroad, which is between a street and a road, it does nothing. It does neither well, right? It neither access a street well nor access a road well, and that's just on not just bikes. I believe came out with that, but yeah, it's true. Most of America just looks like a giant outdoor shopping mall, just concrete and concrete all over the place. There's no greenery. There's no nice buildings as there used to be before. The country is not 246 years later. The country is not in a great spot. Okay, let's be honest. We've talked about this before. Okay, let's see what we got over here. What is this? Yeah. So this was I was going to put this picture up. I'll put it up for tomorrow to celebrate the 4th of July. But, of course, remember, the passing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, July 4th. Okay, but, at least we still have some people still alive from the last major World War, World War II, which is when a lot of, these pictures that we've gotten and the ones that you see, where was it? This one over here. This is from that era when the railroad was paramount. Okay, critical to making sure that America would be able to move its armaments and move personnel and whatever are needed all over the country. Okay, it was the veins of the war machine of America in the 1940s. Okay, so the American government basically took advantage of that, and they did the same thing in World War One because there was a lot of rebuilding of the railroads after World War One, and they still hadn't quite recovered since then. So, the railroads were battered down. They were operating on a level that they weren't operating on before. They were now overtaxed in order because the United States wanted to go ahead and fund roadways and fund airlines, and that was, basically the biggest. There was obviously parts in the industry where the railroads did stab themselves in the foot, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it would have been without the United States government putting a shotgun in its face and pulling the trigger. Okay, that's basically what the United States government did to it. All right, so just imagine Uncle Sam with a 12 gauge, probably a Remington 870 before it jams. The newer ones are terrible. Don't buy a new Remington 870. Get like an older one. But putting it into the face of the railroads, saying, "Go ahead, take my tanks across the sea. Take them over to the ocean. Take them over to the ports. Give me your tax money. Thank you very much. It was nice knowing you." Boom. That's basically what they did. It's totally a different country. And then the last thing we'll go ahead and play. Before that, it's just quite sad for the state of the country. Honestly, it's not the same state as it was. Okay, so this was from the U.S. Army Recruiter Times. As you know, there's not too many people going to the United States military, and I don't blame. Honestly, I don't blame anybody who would have, because I'm certainly somebody who has thought about it multiple times, and I was very close to the Coast Guard CISPI program, very close. And then I chickened out because I didn't want to scare my mom, which was in hindsight it was a stupid decision because I could have been able to pay off college and would have done and all that, but whatever, it's done, that's it. I can't go back and change that decision, right? But anyway, I chickened out of that, and that was a stupid thing to do. Should have just done it. But anyway, I'd like to summarize recruiting in the summer of 2022. Today we approached a man in a full duck costume, flipping a car wash sign in 96-degree heat. We offered him a $30,000 sign-on bonus, as the Army usually does, and a job. He told us to F off. I'm thinking I'm going to get a cheap bottle of liquor, find a park bench, and contemplate life. Speaking of liquor, I have not an American drink, but I do have a Belgian drink, right? I do like Belgian ale is one of my favorites. I blame Ruben for it because he got me into it, and now I just can't stop having Belgian ale whenever I get the chance to on any special occasion. And tonight's special occasion, I haven't drank all week, So we're gonna go ahead and pour a little bit of this Westmalle Trappist ale, especially Trappist ale. Honestly, that's good stuff. We're going to do that while exactly Mohammed Qureshi is on point. We have this video over here that we're going to play. If you guys have not seen this, I don't know where you've been, but this has been going around. If you guys have seen it, you're going to see it again. Okay? So this is a retired 100-year-old veteran, Marine veteran. And you can see on he's a sergeant as well on there. You can kind of see the ranking on his uniform. Here we talked about World War II very briefly, right? And again, a lot of people have thought, was it worth it? That you can take that question as what you will. Did they think that the country was going to end up like this in this time period, right? We'll play that while I go ahead and pour something. If you guys want to pour yourself something, go ahead. But we're going to end the news with this.
I don't know. I've lived a good life. I've had a lot of happiness, smiling, telling everybody that everything was beautiful every day. If I went into my church and didn't say everything was beautiful, they'd think I was sick. And I'm not that way. I mean, I sincerely believe in this old world that everything is beautiful. I mean, if I wake up in the morning and see these plants out here and all those flowers that are in there and the green grass on the ground, that's beautiful. And people don't realize what they have. They bitch about it. They do. And then nowadays, I am so upset that the things we did and the things we fought for and the boys that died for it, it's all gone down the drain. Our country's gone to hell in a handbasket. We haven't got the country we had when I was raised. Not at all. Nobody will have the fun I had. Nobody will have the opportunity I had. It's just not the same. That's not what our boys, that's not what they died for. It's just not it. Darling, I'm so sorry. I'll be all right. Just takes me time to get over it. Why me? See, sitting here like this, see, all this going on. Listen, it's just, Emily, it's just not the same. That isn't what we fought for. Oh well, I should be worried about it, I guess. I'm 100 years old, they say.
That will be
I'm
my
not,
fight.
I worry about it. Yes, I worry.
That will be my fight. Yeah. For sure.
Well, okay, you just remember everything's beautiful, and live every day to the fullest. Just enjoy everything you possibly can.
All right, so he found a way to make it a little bit happier on there. God bless him, because he's gone through hell and back, and he's seen a lot, and he's lived through a lot. But and I know a lot of people have talked about this in different circles. If if those boys, because they were really, young men back then, right? They were, a lot of them were even boys. They weren't even 18. Some of them were 17 or 16 that went ahead and lied to the recruiters to go ahead and fight for this country, right? And it wasn't like back then that they knew exactly who the enemies were or who a certain ally was. If you guys watched somebody I worked when I used to work back at Cabela's called me a discount Brandon Herrera, which I found funny. But he came out with it's not a war crime if you were an ally with us. The latest video he did about the PPS 43. But it wasn't like back then that they had the internet. They didn't have YouTube. They didn't have they couldn't go through, let's say, 4chan or a whole bunch of the other websites. They couldn't go on Discord servers or other stuff like that and talk to other people, right? They didn't have access to Telegram or these services or etc. Right? All the news that they got was from the media, okay? Which thank goodness at least that we do have something now that we can be able to talk and be able to give you the news. Because look at the problem with the journalists, like we just talked about. Look, they basically said that the station was canceled, but it's not canceled. They're moving it to another area, okay? So it's not fair to say that this project or this station is canceled, okay? So that's basically what they were subject to, okay? In their view, in their mind point, okay, they were fighting for their country, okay? And it is a very noble cause to fight and die for your country. That there's nothing at all wrong with that, okay? But if these boys, okay, these boys and men at Normandy were, they're going on the boats and they saw like a portal open up, like that, there was that comic, that Bill and Ted comic showing them like Netflix cuties or something like that, and they just basically, turned away. Or if they saw what this country would turn into, would they still be driving those boats on the shores? Okay? Now, we're not going to get into that. But it's just something to think about, at the state of our country, where it is right now, what's gone to it, what we've done, the state of our infrastructure as we talk about it. It's what it is. It's a good time to talk because, like he said, he did as much as he could with the knowledge that he knew about, right? And he's not a boomer. I know some people keep saying it, especially the younger folks don't know what a baby boomer is, okay? He's not a baby boomer. He's part of the greatest generation, which was a generation before that. Now, yes, they did raise the baby boomers. They did not think that the baby boomers would turn out the way that they did. Okay? If they knew that, they probably would have maybe given them a few more spankings. I don't know. Okay? Maybe slapped the one upside the head saying, I'm going to go to Woodstock. Maybe gave him a couple more slappings. I don't know. I'm not condoning child spankings or anything like that, but or condemning it or anything like that. But honestly, look, they worked with what they had, okay, and honestly, they were that's the reason why they're called the greatest generation, okay. With what they went through, what they've done was by far a very noble cause, okay. There's no arguing against that, okay. You cannot argue what they did was noble. All right. So let's go ahead and open up here to the audience. Again, if you guys would like to come board on the stream over here on the Discord, on the stage, I'm going to go ahead and put the, where is the link to the stage over here? Here we are. I'm going to create an invite right now. Anybody who would like to go ahead and join in on the Discord server, come on aboard, join on in. Drinks are not on the house because I cannot give you guys drinks. But if you guys were all on the same train, if we had this train, let's get it back over here. If we were all on this train, okay, the drinks would be on the house or on the train at least. All right, let's get going. Let's get started. So we got David with his hands up. We got Focus 9912 with his hands up. Brightline fan, Grandpa. Okay, We'll start with David, and then we'll go down if you guys want to go ahead. The floor is open to you guys. I've done enough talking for 50 minutes. There we are. Let's go ahead and invite David Mitchell on board.
Glad to be back, Nemo.
Hey, David, how's it going?
Oh, hey, you remember when I want to say something going to get very bad for the class 1s, and it's going to get bad really fast?
I recall you saying that, yes.
Oh, we might have a nationalized Class 1 railroad again.
All right.
They might be bringing back Conrail.
Oh, dear.
Let me tell you why. Let me send you the article before you can look.
Yeah, go ahead. Send me the article again. It's a free open stage, so that's the whole point of this. Again, if you guys have any articles in the audience or in the chat, go ahead and link them. If YouTube is blocking them, there should be some way to go ahead and get that in. All right. How Wall Street holds railroads hostage. Let's go ahead and open this up. Okay, focus on operating ratio, inhibits volume growth, hurts service, and prevents share gain from highway. Yeah, it's part of PSR, Precision Scheduled Railroading, is to go ahead and focus on operating ratio as much as possible. Are you still there? Uh-oh. I think I've... Okay, no, I'm still here. Okay, this stream is still going. I thought there was a little bit of delay. David, if you're on, you're... Well... Okay, we may have lost David. Let's go ahead and bring in Focus 9912 on board.
Hello. All right.
Hey.
Because I pretty sure I'm the last one to. But okay. To be honest, when I heard just now, it's a bit. Well, because we have. Because I not really know the history before World War II, but is it the fact that we have at least some kind of peace for 70 years is more than with the war that we're fighting for?
I'm having a bit of a bit of trouble understanding you. What was the question?
Sorry, just now you said about whether the war is worth it just now, but never. I think my internet is problem. Sorry.
Okay, well, looks like we've been having a bunch of issues here. All right, we'll bring on Brightline fan. Okay, Brightline fan, you're on board.
Well, thanks for having me.
How's it going?
It's a pleasure to be. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Well, there's a lot of things happening today, and well, in the last month, we have a lot of updates regarding Brightline. As my name intends, I'm a fan of Brightline.
I can tell.
And everyone, exactly. Well, last week they were starting to they have delivered some ballast. They're ballasting the Cocoa Curve, which is on State Road 528 near the Cocoa Tunnel.
Right.
And I was watching that video, and they're doing a lot of work.
Yeah, I think we do have some other Brightline fans on here. Would you like to bring anybody else on board?
I don't know. It depends on you.
Yeah, okay, because I see on here in the general chat, Shattered Soul, he's calling himself another Brightline stan, so let's go ahead and bring him on too, and if you guys want to chat about that, feel free to.
What's up, Shattered?
So this is my first time on a Demetrius stream/video. By the way, I'm Green Star Army 2002, by the way.
Welcome aboard.
I've been known as Green Star Emily because I've been watching the channel since 2015. And yeah, I did join YouTube in 2015 here. But you may, for those of you who know me in 2015, you may know me as Kodak Band 1998.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
So, unless you tend to forget me, but okay. In the stream. I get to talk to Demetrius personally, but not in real life, though. But
Well, anything you want to share, or anything, any reactions to the news, or anything about infrastructure you want to talk about?
Well, did you hear about Brightline saying no to Disney? Aw, man, why?
Yeah, we just talked about that just recently. They're not canceling the station. They're moving the station somewhere off the Disney property that is still close to Disney Springs. So it's not like it's gone. That was a headline issue that apparently the media lied. Okay, let's be honest. The media lied with clickbait in order to go ahead and say, oh, it's canceled. That's it. There's not going to be any Disney Brightline station. They're moving the station off the Disney property, but they're still building it close to the Disney Springs area. That's according to the article. Go ahead and just bring that one more time over here for everybody to know, okay? In addition to the airport, one new station will be located at the Orange County Convention Center, and an alternative station will be placed near the original Disney Springs site, albeit not on land owned by Disney. Taken together, the three integrated stations provide access to the largest economic and employment centers in Central Florida and offer the best opportunity for the success of Brightline and Sunrail. So that is according to WPLG. So it's not canceled. There's not going to be no Disney station. There will be a station. However, it will be off of Disney's property. That's the difference.
Okay.
Well, actually,
right?
I really don't care about Disney having a station, whether or not if it's in Disney or out of Disney property. They're still going to have a station, regardless.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, and that's what matters the most, is having at least that access there, especially for a lot of people at the airport. Disney for the time being, it's probably cyclical, I would say, with the amount of stuff that has happened across the world in terms of world events, the coup, etc., the economy.
Especially in Florida with the Reedy Creek situation going on over there, but we're not going to go into that.
Yeah. But, I mean, with all that going on, I mean, there hasn't been as many people going to Disney World for the time being. But it's still a popular destination. In the next 5 years, it will still be a popular destination. Probably for the next 10 years or so if you want to go that far. I mean, it will still be there. They can't up and move, which was the whole big deal that they had with Florida in terms of what they could do on their land. Disney cannot up and take Disney World and move it somewhere else. They are stuck there. That is their area. They're basically tied down to it. So it will still be there. The station will still be there. So it's nothing to really worry about, honestly.
Okay. Let's see
Yeah.
what's next here. Happy 246 America. 4th of July is not my thing anymore. Sorry, it's not my thing anymore.
Why not?
In other words, I don't celebrate it. All day is lame anyway. MIL. Just that. Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm out of the United States, and listen,
Don't.
Independence Day is one of the best. It's one of the best days of the year.
Okay, opinion.
America.
Guys, let's keep it to
Opinion. Don't cause any crap here on Demetrius' stream, okay? Because I can. Please don't make me feel like it's okay. Not everyone celebrates 4th of July. Okay?
Yeah,
I don't celebrate it.
That's true.
I know, but
I hate the holiday.
Look,
I hate it. I hate the holiday.
And here's the thing: is that we're celebrating it here because we are the American Rail Club. So I mean, it's kind of part of it. It's kind of part of the whole thing. You guys can see behind me. I got a flag. We got the whole thing. I do have. Maybe I should change the hats over here. As Holly used to tell me, I was a man of many hats, and I still have this cap over here. The Make America's Railroads Great Again cap. I can put that one on. Or I can go ahead and. This is probably the cap we're going to need in the next 5 years or so. I can put on this. I don't have my U.S. Army officer cap from World War II, but I do have this casket, so we can use that as well. Because we're going to need it.
Hold up. Discord Alan the Fisher. Is that Discord Alan the Fisher? Alan the Fisher or is it the one, the only
Well,
Millennium Falcon?
okay. I think someone's had a little bit too much sugar today.
It was actually I just drank some Coke.
All right. Well, take a little bit of break. We're gonna put you back into the audience. I think Gramble would like to come back, and David as well. So we'll give you a bit of a break there, all right?
Okay.
No worries. No worries. Okay. Oh, went herself. All right. Gramble, welcome aboard, and David, I'm gonna put you back in there, and then we'll bring in Renell and Focus
That email.
as the conversation
Hello,
goes
hello.
on. Hey, everybody.
Mike,
Can you hear me?
Sorry
Hello,
about-
Demetrius.
Sorry about that, Demo. My friend called me and it canceled out the call earlier.
No worries. No worries. You're on.
I think I did found a glitch with Discord. Because literally when he called me, it did call out, and I tried speaking into it and it wouldn't say anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it happens, man. It's what it
The
is.
same issues I did.
But-
Ugh.
But let me get back to what I was saying earlier before I got screwed because of my friend.
Go ahead.
Is that the Class 1s are getting heated right now because the Transportation Board did put a ban on one-man crews. Because BNSF been trying to push them to do one-man crews on trains. And reason why they're doing it is trying to cut on money, and the Transportation Board saying, no, and they're putting a ban on it. So, that actually happened, and so the Class 1 are getting cracked down on right now by the government. So, the Class 1... So, the Class 1, they might be screwed, and they are getting cracked down on so, it crazy stuff that it happening, meaning one-man crews, when it comes to mainline trains, are completely banned. If it's a remote control train like the one that they use in rail yards, like the yard trains with their slug and mutter unit,
Yeah.
are perfectly fine. But mainline, illegal, banned. So
Yeah.
they are finally cracking down on Class
And I
1.
know this has been a big issue for. Sorry to just interrupt there, but it's been a big issue for a number of years in regards to having just a single man crew versus the 2-man crew as from before, which increased the amount of safety. Now just having one person on there would lead to more issues, and of course you're now taking one less person out of the equation. That's one less job per train. So that's always been the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues against persistent scheduled railroading, at least from the perspective of the crew.
Well, they put a ban on it now, meaning the Class 1s are not allowed to do it because if they try, they're going to get fined for it.
Similar to what happened with the FEC. I remember those right. I remember when in 1960, during the late 1960s, the FEC was doing a passenger service at the time, and the workers were going out of strike because they weren't approving the 5-man crews during that time. So that caused the downfall of the FEC passenger service.
And also, it was the demise of them being a Class 1, because that was one thing that triggered them put them down at Class 2, because if they did not did that, they would probably still a Class 1 to today if they did not did that. That was their mistake. But but also the reason why Transportation Board put the ban in because BNSF been trying to force one-man crews by making the new policy called the high-vis policy. And their workers, they do not like it. And I think the government has finally started to see what it is and started to say, not so fast, So, they are cracking down on this, and at this rate, the Class 1s might be in trouble. Like they might be straight up in trouble with.
I wouldn't say they're in trouble. It's just more to do now. Now they have to actually conform to the safety rules, right? And more conforming to what their employees have asked for and have been asking for years. You know, you can't just go ahead and just take this off and say, oh, we can't do this anymore. You know, we can't go ahead. You know, it's you have to follow. You know, yeah. What I'm trying to say is that you have to go ahead and give some leeway also to your employees in order for them to have a say, in order for them to feel like they're working at a company that listens to them. That it goes both ways.
Well, the thing is that at that rate, I could see the railroads getting nationalized again because we're about to have some of that, about to have a Penn Central repeat, you know? We're
You
about
know, history repeats itself.
to. And this time we're going to lose more ones that are probably going to be nationalized. Like, I see Norfolk Southern being one of the victims, BNSF being one of the victims, Union Pacific 50-50 with them.
Yeah, but David, you can't say that just one change in the rule is going to bring down the dominoes on the class ones. I mean, if you're saying something that's more in the terms of economics, let's say the price in gas, or the failing infrastructure, or let's say if 5 years from now we basically turn into full on dystopia where there's every day Union Pacific is getting robbed on their line or something like that, or there's derailments. Like that picture we put up earlier, that Canada. I think it was Canada Pacific that was thinking about putting on M249s on their trains, and people that are armed with rifles on their trains from the constant robbing. So I mean, that could say signal that maybe the class ones are in trouble. I wouldn't say a rule conforming to safety would be this is the end of the class ones.
Well, this one right here, what happening is that it really put in their worker in danger because it penalized them for taking 6 day and taking vacation. It penalized them for taking breaks, like what they need for when they need a recharge, like penalizing them for vacation, 6 days.
Yeah,
We're trying to.
and stuff like that is wrong across the board. It's not just in the railroad. It's far more crucial in the railroad to have your workers to have rest, especially when you're you're dealing with these behemoth machines that could cause a massive amount of damage. You need to have people who are properly rested and properly awake when they're working with them in order to be able to operate it. So that's definitely an issue.
Well, the high-vis policy go against all of it, and it literally penalizes people for this, even people who are sick. And I'll be honest, this right here could be a big thing that will screw up BNSF because this is what triggered the NTFB, or like the Transportation Safety Board, to put a ban on one-man crews because of how BNSF been trying to push it for years. And because they've been putting it for years, the Transportation Board said, you know what? For that, we're putting a ban on it,
Hold on,
So,
David. How heavily incentivized is BNSF?
very. Like,
Oh, well, yeah. No, no surprise there. Like, it would not be surprising if they're the ones who are getting a goody stuff as a means of, halting any forms of in general, let alone choices.
well, BNSF is getting too cocky for themselves, Like, I used to like BNSF. They have been a good railroad until they started pulling all this, and when they screwed over Montana Rail Link too, When they pulled that was it. I was done with that railroad. Like, I used to love the railroad, but ever since they started doing that, I said no.
I think I had a buddy, especially from the other servers I'm in, who used to be part of I would say that is let's just say that he's a fan of rail. Like he likes transportation, and he used to work on it and kind of left. And one of the reasons why is basically now I don't know if I'm basically having his words right. I could be wrong. Again, like I wish he could be online and basically in here.
I know.
Grambo, I think you're having a bit of issues there with your connection or something. I don't know. Discord is not being kind today. I don't know why.
Yeah, Discord been acting up.
Let's bring also up. There's Grambo again. Okay, we'll bring him in, and maybe we'll drop in Renell as well.
All right, you're back, man. He probably have the same problem I had. Yep, he probably have it same problem I did.
Discord. Alrighty, let's.
Speaking of BNSF, well, I've heard that an Iowa couple just sued Amtrak and BNSF for supposedly cramming up passengers on one of the Amtrak routes. I'm like, wait, this can't be true, or that I'm not. I was like, this. I'm not on the Amtrak train, but the one that derailed. But I was like, this can't be true, right?
Yeah, don't believe everything you see, man. Trust me. But,
yeah, I know.
But I'll be honest, like BNSF, like they're real right now in the doghouse. Like the Transportation Safety Board and the government want to make an example to Class 1.
Hey.
1?
What's up, Renell?
How's it going, Renell?
Hi.
All right, I just brought everybody on board. Let's go on with that. Okay, remember, guys, if you're not speaking, press or mute. Okay.
All right, but I'm
sorry about that.
I do see it's something I'm going to bring up. Transportation Safety Board and the U.S. government decide to do it and nationalize the railroad. The first one that they'll probably go for is BNSF. They'll probably make an example of all the Class 1 by going after BNSF saying, it'll happen to you. You know, they'll probably do it to get them in line. You know? Because no one wants their stuff being taken by the government. Am I right?
I mean, I don't think they're going to be nationalized. That's just my opinion.
Me too. The Congress great lot to even do something about Roe v. Wade. How about national railroad? I don't think so.
Yeah, Renell, you're loud and clear.
You are.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, there we are. I'm good. Never mind.
Yeah,
apologies. Okay. Focus. There was something that before you got cut off the last time that you were speaking about. You want to go ahead and ask the question again?
Me?
No,
it was Focus 9912. If
No, when you said just now about the nationalization of railroad, this Congress, I don't think we will get any nationalization or anything that improve the railway at all. I don't think Congress is willing, or in fact, even how do I say this? Never mind. Not to do anything, not even mind at all about the railway. They just as it is, don't do anything.
Yeah, I honestly think it's just a little bit of a step. It's not at all an overreach of the federal government to go ahead and push the safety rule that the employees have been asking for. That was a safety rule for the longest of time. It's really much more of trying to clamp down on the destruction of precision scheduled railroading, right? Because it just is trying to go ahead and grind down as much of the equipment, as much of the crew members, as much as possible in order to go ahead and increase operating income ratio. So that's really the issue what they're going with.
You'll likely never see Amtrak doing PSR.
I don't think we want Amtrak to be doing PSR, man. I mean, it's already it hasn't been too good. Yeah, no.
No, that's worse. That's way worse.
Guys, you know what would be perfect right now? With how crappy the airlines are right now? If I were Amtrak, I would pull a move on them and start, running more trains. Like, one more train than they ever run before.
Yeah, look, and that's the thing, Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Especially this can of sardines with wings, a.k.a. Spirit Airlines.
Don't get me started on Spirit Airlines, man.
It's really
No. They're gone. You're the worst airlines.
I have suffered enough through Spirit Airlines enough. It is, you get an indulgence if you go ahead on Spirit Airlines. You're like, okay, you've suffered enough through life. That's enough. That's all you need to go through is go on Spirit Airlines and be tortured for 2.5 minutes with. And that's the thing. I don't usually harp on the employees. There are some, like maybe like 1 or 2 employees and flight crew that I've met on. Especially the pilots are always good. You hope that the pilots are good. You don't want a pilot that's not good. That would not work. But you want to make sure that you at least have some pleasant people there on the crew. Most of them don't care. Especially the ones at the gates are the worst ones. Okay, the ones on the plane, they're all right, except for the ones that's like you have like this one Karen is just like hunting back and forth like down the aisle. This was like a week before they got rid of the mask mandates. Sir, you gotta put on your mask. Sir, put on your mask. Like I'm just taking a sip. And then like she'll have to ask the guy that has to go ahead and prove something that he's not going to take it anymore. He literally just took down his mask to take a sip and he was going to put it on, but because flight attendant Karen went ahead and
those are the worst.
Yeah, and just pushed his button. Now they want us to start something, and it's flying through in the air. And this is what happened to the plane before I was supposed to go to Florida the last time. The plane I was supposed to get in, and I was like 4 hours late because of this. They turned around the plane halfway through because of this, because somebody wouldn't wear a mask. It's especially at this point, and it was a week or like a couple of days right before they got rid of the rule. It just gets annoying. But that's like the least of it when it comes to Spirit Airlines. I mean, it's just the creature comforts, the constant hawking of their credit card. Every airline does that, but Spirit Airlines is really, really bad at it.
And
Spirit Airlines is now for sale. You heard about that?
Which airline's for sale?
Spirit Airlines.
Oh yeah,
sale.
Yeah.
They're about to go boom.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good to go, Grandpa.
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Discord is being an idiot with me. No, but I just wanted to say, what is the same Spirit Airlines that also tried to stop the triangular project when it comes to like connecting a high-speed rail during the 80s?
That was Southwest. That was Southwest Airlines with the Texas Triangle under the TGV.
Okay. Just need clarification.
No worries, that's why we're all here.
I used to fly on Southwest Spirit Airlines. Never again. I won't be passing through that experience, through that sardine can with wings again.
Oh, and the issue with that is that you're kind of forced. If you're going to certain different airports, there's only 1 or 2 airlines that goes on certain days. And Spirit Airlines just has to be the one that goes between Indianapolis and Fort Lauderdale all the time. So I'm stuck. And not only do I have to take an airline, but I'm punished to take Spirit Airlines. I would rather spend a night in prison than go on Spirit Airlines round trip. Honestly.
I feel you, my man. I feel you. I understand that feeling.
And could you go from Indianapolis to Orlando instead of Fort Lauderdale?
American Airlines had a small jet going between Indianapolis and Miami.
Yeah, and then they got
really the very first flight I ever took in my life.
Yeah, and they got rid of that one after a while, which that was the one I was mostly taking when I was working back at Cummins. But that that was at least better. Unfortunately, it was on an Embraer, which they're okay, but they're just
That's
really
a small
tight.
jet.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically a puddle jumper.
The Embraer jet is actually economical for the kind of route it was going.
Is it Embraer or Embraer? Because it's Brazilian.
But the size of that jet was economical for the route.
Yeah, but I mean, now with what's going on with the airline, with the constant cancellations, the demand for having on pilots for any type of crew, because I mean they laid off a whole bunch of people during the coup, which they promised if they got the money, oh don't worry, we'll take the billions of dollars, please just give us the money for free, we won't
They did it
yeah
anyway.
they did it anyway, exactly. That was the thing, I mean a Metal Gear Solid villain couldn't hold the government hostage as well as the American airline industry can do, for billions of dollars. Dr. Evil goes and asks for like $1 million or $1 billion, but the American airline industry can ask for billions upon billions of dollars, and get it within a week.
And I'd be honest, it might be the final nail in the coffin to push everybody to high-speed rail. Let's be honest, it might be the nail in the coffin that finally pushes everybody to one and high-speed
I mean,
rail.
we keep saying, everything is the nail in the coffin. It's really more to do with, it's just one more drop in the bucket, right? Because people do want to have that other option. Everybody that I've talked to and seen, yeah, we all know that everybody wants that other option. It's, now pushing more demand for it.
Like,
We have
wait
one-
until this December in Florida. Wait until this December in Florida with Brightline. That gonna be the killing blow right there. That I'll
We
be
have-
on it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
we can
Okay,
hear
good,
you.
good, good. All right, finally. I just want to say, look out for some counter subverters there, especially when it comes to big oil lobbyists. If you know what I mean, if that's what you mean, December. So, be.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little point here about the airlines and Brightline. If anything, American United, they should all work like in the Miami, Orlando area. They should work with Brightline, not against it. Like put
True.
together like package deals where you're get from Orlando to, let's say, Paris. If you leave Miami, it would be a fast Brightline ride to Orlando Airport on your airplane, and your whole ticket is linked. I think the Demetrius went over this in his interview with the Maglev project.
Now,
You hear me again?
yeah,
Yeah. I keep bringing you in. I'm just making sure that
I'm sorry, Chris. Again, Discord is being absolutely hagged with me. No, but
Yeah. There was a comment over here. I just wanted to bring in real quick because somebody did mention it. This is from Mohammed Qureshi on YouTube. It says, even if we can get Amtrak to provide a Brightline level of service, it could raise expectations, which is what I hope the 2035 Amtrak plan turns out to be.
but and Dimitri, when I was saying earlier about December might be the killing blow for the airlines, because with Brightline being ahead of schedule, instead of starting up in 2023, they'll be starting up their running train from Miami to Orlando later on this Christmas. Am I right?
Yeah, and I think what that will do is, again, show the world it's not going to be a killing blow. It's definitely going to be that right hook cross, 5 seconds before the end of the round. That's really going to wow the audience. And I think by showing that you can have a high-speed passenger rail system between two major cities and actually have it working and bringing customers and going over 125 miles an hour. It's going to show the rest of the country that this is a service that is not only in demand but actually works in the United States.
All right. I'm just going to bring up about almost a month ago when I was up in Charlotte, North Carolina. I noticed something very odd. You know the Amtrak station that are right there in Charlotte on the west side of the city?
Yeah.
They are expanding it out. They're building it up. Like, it looks like they're going to be trying to set that up for when high-speed rail eventually gets started up in the upstate. Meaning they're getting that station ready for something big. You know? Like, and one of the new future corridors is going to be from Charlotte, North Carolina to Atlanta, Georgia, you know?
Yeah, and there's, again, especially in the South, you're seeing a lot of people moving in now, especially out of places like New York, like out of Illinois, like out of California or Oregon or all these other basically more leftist states that have driven away business or have just gone too crazy for the average everyday American to really live there comfortably and at an affordable rate. That they're moving to places like Florida, like Georgia, like North Carolina, So you're having this, this movement of people going down. Like it was different before, where you had a lot of people from the South moving over to the North within the middle of the 20th century, especially after World War II. You did have some people moving to the South, especially down to Florida. Boomers. Yeah, but you had a lot of people, moving specifically to places like Florida, but now it's just a lot of people now specifically moving to the South for places to like Texas, Dallas, Austin, Houston. So there's going to be a demand for more people to get around through these places again.
And that's where TCR comes in.
Yeah.
Well, and here, Tip, and I'll be honest. Like Atlanta, Georgia, I do see Atlanta, Georgia being a high-speed rail hub in the future. The reason why, because they're talking about doing high-speed rail from Savannah to Atlanta and down to not Baltimore, but that other city, but Atlanta, Georgia is going to be a high-speed rail hub in the future. Like, you can see it.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta was a major hub back then. I mean, even now, today, I mean, it still serves as the largest airway hub. So I mean, it still serves a purpose.
Brightline talked about doing Atlanta to Charlotte.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the next stage after after Express West. Yeah, which is, I mean, speaking of California, I mean it's not like it's a mass exodus of people moving out of California. There's definitely more people moving out of California than moving in. And the population is suffering because of it, but it's not to the point where it's going to be a total ghost town. It's only going to be tumbleweeds jumping onto the train in order to take a ride to San Francisco. We're not at that point.
Well, there is some good news about California high-speed rail, meaning we are probably going to charge the extension before they even get the Central Valley one. Then they're probably going to start building the one to San Francisco too.
Yeah, I honestly, and I keep seeing more updates from the California High-Speed Rail Authority, and they're like, we're moving forward, we're building stuff, and it's continuing the same stuff. It's more viaducts, it's more concrete. There still has yet to be any steel on there.
No tracker systems.
Exactly. If they want to tell that they're doing stuff, start putting rail down.
Yeah, and we're
putting the rail down.
Yeah, and again, we're all saying this. Not to deride California, we're all on board with having this sort of project move forward. But we're up. The reason we're upset is the way that it's being done. It's taken a very long time. It's not only hurt the project, but it's also detract from other projects because you keep getting the example of the California high-speed rail put into against Texas Central, against Brightline, against every single other project, and say, "Oh, look what's going on in California. We don't want that disaster. We don't want that boondoggle."
Now,
but that's
even all.
Yeah.
Don't forget the airliner industry.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
has to play.
they kind of use that. I mean, it's not like a grand conspiracy that the airline company is behind California high speed rail in order to make it look ridiculous. Look, you can't have a company that spends millions of dollars on getting a whole bunch of oh man, I keep forgetting the term. This is the second stream in a row where I keep forgetting the term. Not investors. Dang, what's the term? They got like 12 different consultants. There we are. 12 different consultants that weren't really communicating with each other. They were giving them money under the table. They were mostly friends with people who were on the California High-Speed Rail Board. There was tremendous amounts of millions of dollars wasted instead of the project moving forward. That's the stuff we're upset about. We're not upset at all about the project happening. We want the project to happen.
I would like to see track being put down.
Well, they're talking about probably sometime
By
later.
August.
Yeah. Dude, my birthday, August 25th.
Is it finally this August of 2022, not 2032 or 2052? We're talking about this year.
Yes. They're talking about starting to put track down finally.
After how many years since we've broken ground?
I know.
6-7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a way to run a company, not at all. I mean, look, you had more than 55 years ago, the Japanese with the technology that they had built an entire Shinkansen system between Tokyo and Osaka. Yeah, for a fraction of the price, and I did the calculations. To the price of inflation up to today, it would still cost at least a quarter of what California is spending per mile, in proportion. So, this is including the whole entire research and development that Japan did in order to create the Shinkansen, because the technology did not exist. They had to go ahead and design it, research, and develop it. It already exists now in a much more advanced stage. California has access to a whole bunch of companies that can do this, whether they want to get the Japanese or whether the Germans or the Chinese even at this point, but they haven't done any of that. They went ahead and spent wasted millions of dollars on different consultants. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're upset.
It's kind of dumb, like, heck, this is what they call bad planning. Am I right?
Yeah.
Straight up bad planning.
It's yeah, and that's it's California. We can't say it anymore. It's California, guys.
Yeah. Some renderings I've seen showed the California trains being Shinkansens.
Yeah, that was like at least 10 years ago that they had the Shinkansen renders. Now it's all it's all the Siemens. Yeah, the Siemens Valeros now. And most likely they probably will get Siemens. I mean, without a doubt. Yeah, 99% chance they're going to pick Siemens. It's already there in their backyard. It's in Sacramento or Pittsburgh, California, if you want to be specific.
They're already building the cars for Brightline and Amtrak Midwest.
Yeah. And they'll probably be building the Valeros for the Brightline West as well.
Express West project.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll bring up, like, if Expressway gets done before them all will take a Brightline to take over that area and rebuild it, take it over from them, No,
but Brightline West, it's without a doubt that Brightline West will be the first high-speed train in America, like actual true high-speed rail, and will be the first one rolling into California. Which, at that point, it will be a good thing, because here's the thing. It makes the point mute of people saying that high-speed rail won't work in America, because now you have now you have a private company that will be running a train between Victorville and Las Vegas. Between two various Las Vegas now has been getting a lot of people going over there too, especially once after the coup has ended. So now there's been a lot of a resurgence of people, of visitors going to Las Vegas.
But it should go to, if they really want to, they make the money. They really should go to all the way into LA.
Yeah, that's their plan. That will be in the additional phases afterwards. But they have to get started first to Victorville to Las Vegas in order to at least get that running there. And then eventually we'll be going between Los Angeles over to Las Vegas. And definitely it will get a heck of a bigger boost for them. But it will show that, we can build it. It will work as it is working right now or will be working in Florida. And
Brightline is not dilly-dallying.
No, they're really moving ahead, and they're really the biggest point, and the reason why this is all working is because of Brightline. It without a doubt, no other company has changed the face of passenger rail in the last 20 years or 50 years than Brightline has, by far.
Like, I'll be honest, I do see Brightline become an Amtrak competition in probably next 2 decades, It's up, keep going Brightline way,
I mean, there's not really much to compete with. I mean, that's there's no competition of what's a better service.
I know, but it would be probably something that Amtrak probably going to be looking out for because they might get screwed after this,
I think it would be more to do that at a certain point, like when we first started the club, and this was my first proposal, was Amtrak should be split up into multiple companies.
Privatized.
Yeah, privatized, like the Japanese companies were in the 80s. So you have better focus within these certain regions, a better way of handling the finances and the operations within these regions, and also able to advance and get different, better equipment, better stations, better management of the areas, etc. That's what I think would be a better purpose to do, because, like I said, Amtrak has a lot on its plate. It's doing fine in the Northeast. Apart from the falling apart of the Northeast corridor in terms of the infrastructure.
They finally got the stuff approved over there, so they're finally replating that bridge, the drawbridge that keeps getting stuck.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a fixed bridge.
They're actually finally replacing it, and then they're about to get construction on with the new tunnel.
Yeah, but again, this takes with the time that it's taken to build, like, what's going on with the bridge between. I'm not sorry, not the bridge. The tunnel between New Jersey and New York, the Gateway project. With how long it's taken to get that project going, with the amount of funding, with the increase of the estimated amount of cost for this project, it's not like how it was back 100 years ago, where this country could build very quickly projects that it needed to. No problem. Okay, and that's without the modern technology that we have now today. Okay, it's really more to do with the way that it's set up, the zoning laws, the way how in order to get projects approved, etc.
The EIS.
Yeah,
studies.
Yeah, and that's part of it. Now, I don't know if this Supreme Court decision, because I know some people have talked about it, whether the recent Supreme Court decision on the EPA overreach will affect speeding up these projects, or how it will affect certain other federal agencies. That has yet to be seen in practice, because we're just now feeling the actual explosion. We haven't really gotten the shockwaves through the system in order to really feel, how this is going to affect the FRA, the EPA, the National Transportation Safety Board, or National the Surface Transportation STB, and all. There's too many. Yeah, there's way too many of these organizations to deal with. Yeah, which makes it harder. And like this, the older gentleman said, the veteran, the Marine veteran that we were discussing, he literally said it. People will not have, they don't have the same opportunities that I had. That's what he said. And it's true. It was a lot easier back in the day in order to go ahead and start a business, in order to build a project when you needed to, how you needed to, without the absolute overreach constantly from the federal boards, from federal agencies,
the government.
Yeah, over and over again. That's the issue. It's that's the problem.
I have to agree with that.
The reason Amtrak is dilly-dallying is because of that.
Yeah, and with that, it's created an environment.
Government bureaucracy that's with it.
Yeah, and it's created an environment of just this sluggish environment of just having business as usual, right? You know, you have to keep the machine going because the machine is what gives you your paycheck, your pension, your benefits. Okay, because everybody is now who's on board with this is seeing how it's going to do for themselves. Okay, it doesn't matter if the country 100 years from now is going to be falling apart. What matters is, you know, what they're getting into now, and that's the sort of mentality that has permeated throughout the entire federal government and through a lot of state governments too. Is that, you know, they just have to just keep the system going as it is, and it's not working.
Well, I think there might be a big change getting ready to happen. Like, I do see a big change coming, and high-speed rail might be change that kick-started. You know, like, I guarantee when Brightline get that thing done when they get their extension to Orlando done this Christmas, that gonna be the Kickstarter, you know? The beginning of when it starts changing. Am I right, Demetrius?
No, I definitely think so, absolutely.
I think he could be right.
Yeah. It will be another start, like when Brightline first started out.
And we got a train going
got
by.
In there. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Of course, you'll have the detractors going ahead and saying, "Oh, Brightline is the most dangerous train in America." Yeah, it's not Brightline that's killing people. It's drivers. Again, people in cars that don't know how to drive, getting in front of a car. Oh, it's a train. Oh, you know, that's not Brightline's fault. Brightline can't swerve. Brightline can't jump over these cars, you know. It's not going to be, you know, freaking Flipper over here jumping over cars to avoid them. No, it has to go through.
You know that trains can't stop right away. They have to pass 18 football fields to stop.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about, you know, an 80,000 ton, 80 mile an hour, you know, behemoth just, you know, hurtling through it on its own right of way, okay, on the rails, on private property that its company owns, with the amount of safety precautions that they have put around these crossings, okay? They have gates, they have signals. It goes ding, 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 ding. It audibly tells you. It visually tells you. If you can't visually and audibly tell that, I don't know why they're even driving in the first place. If you can't see, can't hear. But there you go.
Demetrius, like this is something I'm going to bring up. Like, there's also another project that they brought up in article talking in North Carolina. They're talking about doing high-speed rail from North Carolina to Virginia.
Yeah, that's definitely another one. Yeah, to Charlotte to help me out here. You know, Virginia. Shoot, if we had Aegis on here, he would definitely know. Yeah, I think it's in Norfolk. Well, no, Norfolk is on the coast. Okay. We're talking about closer to the D.C. area, I think. But anyway, regardless, you know,
there could be a extension to the Northeast corridor right here. Like, there could be another spark right here. Like, there already infrastructure in play to already start working with. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, you have enough demand, right? There's a lot of people that have been asking for it. At least at the very least, all it takes, you know, for people to have demand count is saying, "Oh, golly gee, I wish there was a train," you know. And then from there, you know, it's the same thing what happened with Brightline. You know, a lot of people were thinking, you know, "Oh, gee, I wish there was a train between Miami and Orlando or Tampa and Orlando." So now
that's happening.
Yeah. So, I mean, and there's a lot of other places where this can happen, where you have the mathematical representation of demographics that support having a high-speed rail between two major city pairs with a large enough population between 300, 500 miles of each other.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that you remember when I was talking about Charleston and Lost Right Train?
Yeah, Ricardo Noel said it was Richmond, Virginia, so that's what it is, I think. Richmond to Charlotte.
Yeah, that could work for high-speed rail right there. Like, have that, and then in Richland, like, connect the high-speed rail from Richland to Washington, D.C., and you'll have a whole expansive up northeast corridor down south.
Yeah. and,
know?
and it's
Would be like
it's
South corridor.
yeah, and it's more than just having a train there, right? Because you can have a train there. There already is. There, you have Amtrak that serves that corridor. It's the service and the speed and the consistency and the convenience of it that Amtrak is having an issue serving up. Right now, for some reason, the Amtrak rant that I did 5 years ago is now starting to go up in people's recommended. Which it's a 5-year-old video. I was maybe 40 pounds lighter. I had a lot less hair back then. Okay, and I was very upset. Okay, that's the thing. I wasn't. Yeah, I was on the train, so it wasn't like I was ranting about Amtrak just on a cell phone. I was on the silver. I think it was the Silver Meteor. It was on the Silver Meteor going northbound over to New York.
The auto train?
Actually, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, you are right, Renell. It was the auto train. My bad. It was the auto train. But yeah, we're going there, and it's just the amount of time that it takes in order to get there is a pain. It is a pain. Not only that, just the service on board, and it's nothing against the Amtrak employees, but I've said this story again. Yeah, it's the environment around them that permeates this culture of just having people that just we can't go ahead and fix the air conditioning until we get to the next station, and then call the union and do all this, And my dad, came out and MacGyver like in the middle of the night, went ahead, restarted the air conditioner system, got it working, and then put a piece of tape on the door to make it stop slamming over and over again. It doesn't take that much to fix this.
Dimitri, what's funny? You actually passed my house, like literally, because my house is right by the train track. If you would take the Silver Meteor, you actually passed through Ravenel, South Carolina, where my hometown.
Well, next time I go by, I'll go ahead and wave if you can. Well, at the speed that Amtrak is going, I mean, you can probably see me. I'll just be going like this on the wind at this exact speed.
Hey,
that Amtrak. That Amtrak is going to replace all those coaches, those new with venture coaches that we see on Brightline.
Yeah, that's very nice, and finally, it's about time that they do it. And and what better way to do it than just copy what Brightline is doing? Honestly, there's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, and speaking of that, they're going to be replacing their Amtrak long distance trains here in the north and south with dual modes, like dual mode electric locomotives, meaning they won't have to transfer over to the electric locomotives anymore, so they'll have dual mode like on the Palmetto, the Silver Meteor.
Yeah, because it was always, it was at least nice to have a bit of a break and get off the train, but, it takes a bit of a while in order to go ahead, transfer out those, at least the old GE locomotives, and then go ahead and put in the electric locomotives. What is it? Was it the ACS 64s or
the Northeast Corridor?
Yeah, whatever they were, Siemens.
Well,
yeah, now they're Siemens now. Yeah, but when the last time I've gone onto there, they still had the older ones.
I think they had to fight like heck to get the 17 or whatever it was for the Siemens equipment.
Yeah.
Venture.
And that's at least a good thing that we're Amtrak is finally moving forward on that. That is a good thing.
It took Brightline for them to figure that one out.
Mm-hmm. Now I some corridors, some high-speed corridor when they start building are going to be way quicker to build than others. Like, I'll be honest, the Taunton to Savannah, not Taunton, but Savannah to Georgia one the Savannah to Atlanta one will probably be a quick one to build. Probably only take a year to complete. Probably a year to 2 years. Same with Atlanta to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I think Brightline will do that one.
Yeah, they've at least talked about it. It's again, what Brightline is not the only. We know it's our favorite player, in this whole space, but. Now that we have confirmation that Texas Central has gotten approval, or at least has
from the Supreme Court,
right? Gone through that, and as at least there's at least a little bit of a beep there in that heartbeat monitor saying that it's still going. I mean, Do you all think that it's going to go through?
Oh yeah, like I did think, like I really did think that it probably going to happen. Now I do think, like in California with Express West, that'll probably only take about 2 years to complete. Like literally, with how fast and how much better Brightline's been getting when it comes to building high-speed rail and rail line. The thing about when they go to begin Express West, like in California to Las Vegas, they're going to probably have that thing done in less than 2 years, you know?
Most likely, and it's a lot easier to go ahead and build there in the desert. And if they have the
I
right
know.
consultants, they can be able to build that and get that done correctly. I mean, they
Yeah,
have
but
the engineering know-how. It's very easy to build it there, and it would be funny too because it's right in the where the hyperloop, which I haven't heard that much about that. I'm sorry to bring that up. It's gonna be right there in the Las Vegas area where the hyperloop little test track, yeah, where that little piece of crap is going along. So I mean, it will just show people, hey, there you go. Now you guys can ride at 200 miles an hour, more or less. Right there. The technology is already here. You don't have to go ahead and build a evacuated. Yeah, you don't have to go ahead and build this ridiculous, unfeasible, uneconomical is what it is. Even if that's the thing, the physics, yeah, it checks out. The problem is how expensive it is to run a system like that. It's
like in here,
the
you're saying it will be a death trap too. Like it's up and go wrong, you're going to die in that. No matter what.
Even if it was completely safe, the problem is it will not be able to beat the consistency, the amount of capacity to move the amount of people that a system like high-speed rail can do it. I mean, that's the problem. That's where it really ends up.
Pods look like a bus to me.
Yeah. It's you're not going to get the same amount of travel. It's just not going to be the same.
So true.
Yeah, even with the speed.
Same amount of capacity as a bus.
Right. With the same at the same speed, even you can go ahead and go up to maglev, and you're probably going to hit around. If not, it'll probably be cheaper to do maglev because there hasn't been any large scale hyperloop project. Finally they moved 2 people in there. Whoop-de-doo. Which I said, probably in the next couple years, I predicted this. They would go ahead and move. Have a test drive with a couple of people in it. And maybe they'll go ahead and start having more so rides. But I would say since the COOF, it's been kind of crickets out of Virgin Hyperloop. Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of that, I'll be on it. Utah, they're getting a streetcar system in one of the big city in Utah, or not Utah, but Wyoming. The prime big city. I can't remember its name. The only city that is big enough in Wyoming.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Wyoming or the geography over in Wyoming, so somebody's going to have to help me out. Or I'm just going to look at a map of Wyoming.
It's that one big city that Union Pacific used to have their headquarters in, where the big boy is.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to.
I can't remember.
Is it Billings? No, Billings is Montana, not Wyoming.
Is it Cheyenne? I don't know.
Yes,
Cheyenne. Yes. Okay.
They're talking about doing a streetcar system in Cheyenne.
Yeah, and now that would be great. And look, that's the thing. It goes from. It's not just about having bullet trains or the other. It also you have to have people get around within the city too. So having these sort of systems, helps because once you get to point B, is how do I finally get to my final destination to where I'm going through, go around in the city, or having these for residents within the area to use.
And good news is that they're going to be Amtrak stop in Siam from Denver. With Denver doing it, Amtrak Connect Up plan, the city is at the end of the line.
Yeah. I'm trying to look if there's any sort of article or anything on the streetcars.
They would talk.
If it will come up.
I think by 2035, some other private companies are likely to fulfill parts of the Connect Us 2035 plan,
Mm-hmm.
like Brightline or some other private company.
Yeah, but heck, and Jane it, they're going to be an arm race between hydrogen and diesel locomotive too. Like we're already seeing the first phase of diesel and hydrogen locomotive with their arm rage.
Yeah, I mean, I get where it's going with hydrogen, but honestly, at the, well, I mean, look for places that don't have and for like more shorter haul trips, hydrogen does work. But at that point, you might as well just go to electric because all a hydrogen engine does is just transfer hydrogen into electricity. Like let's say the Toyota is it no, it's not the Furai. It's Mirai, because I'm trying to think like what's the Japanese word for future? Mirai. So the Toyota Mirai works on just having a hydrogen generator there. You put the hydrogen fuel in, and the fuel cells go ahead and convert it into electricity, and you're basically driving an electric car. So at that point, it's like, well, why am I going to have the hydrogen fuel cell generators there when I can have more space for for having batteries and drive my car? Now, for a train, I don't remember, but I think it wasn't Alstom. It was what was the other company that was doing hydrogen?
Not Siemens?
No, it wasn't Siemens. No, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I think
Texaco have hydrogen locomotives.
Yeah, I think they're working in the same sort of system where it's just hydrogen fuel cells on board converting hydrogen to ultimately electric energy.
That in your documentary, Train of the Future.
Yeah, when we switched over to American Rail Club from High Speed Rail, High Speed America. No, I can't even remember the old name. High Speed Rail America Club. High Speed Rail America Club. Yeah, that was a mouthful to remember. We need to change the name, and finally, it's it. You know what? Nobody has American Rail Club. In 150 years, nobody has the American Rail Club. So I'm going to start the American Rail Club. That's simple as that.
So a simple name change.
Yeah, ARC, and it just flows off better. Everybody knows what you're talking about, and it's like, oh, okay.
Well, Dimitri, here's something. You can actually trademark the name,
Yeah, I probably should, and get all that done. I know. Oh man, I miss her. If Holly would keep me on track with all this sort of stuff, but yeah, that's the sort of thing. But at least we're here. We're active. We're doing stuff. So we're getting there.
My advice to you trademark the name in case some crooked person who don't like rail come along, make their own, trademark it, and get you canceled.
They can try what they want, but you know what? It's not gonna do anything. At that point, look, honestly, you can't be going with the. You can't be playing the same game that everybody else is, like the airlines and all these things. If you play to their level, you play their game, you can't win the game, right? The only way to win is not to play. So you can't play the same game. And honestly,
exactly.
Look, we're not anywhere on the radar of Bob Crane. If anything, we were just a thorn in his side or a thorn in the side of the detractors in Florida. And honestly, there was just so much of us. They were really more focused on Brightline. We were just, guys on the sidelines that were really trying to push for more community support. And we did get a lot of community support in order to come to these commission meetings. So that sort of things is what happens.
Dimitri, did you help and create All Aboard Florida?
No, I didn't help and create All Aboard Florida. I was really more in helping to get more community outreach through their media, through social media, their YouTube channel, their Facebook, through getting meetings and coordinating with.
For them, right?
Yeah, and
I wonder if there was a similar monopoly between ocean liners when jet planes started.
No, we're not. I'm not even too familiar with what's going on with there. But back to what I was saying with Brightline. I was working with a lot of community partners, commissioners, etc., in order to drum support for the project, or local businesses that were really, either tourism or hospitality that really saw the actual need for this sort of project, and sort of courting them.
the thing is that they don't have an option where you can pay cash for tickets.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of the thing in the future is that now we're going into the sort of cashless society. I get that it's easier to go ahead and have it. I mean, it was a big deal in Japan when they first got rid of the. I mean, you still have the coin machines, obviously, but they have the availability where you can just go ahead and just get tickets by using yen. Because imagine a system where everything between $1 and $10 bills are all coins. That's Japanese yen. Okay, so you have basically $10 bill coins, or at least $100,000 yen. It's basically 1 yen is about equal to a penny or so, more or less. But you still have that there, that they still use a lot of coins. But you still have the availability of the Suica cards, the Passmo cards, or any of the other different cards that you have around the system. You can just tap and go. That works. Now, with Brightline, they sort of took that idea and they ran with it to their own way. And it's really if you guys have seen the station, it is beautiful, and it is really nice to see it function.
I mean, Miami Central.
Yeah.
All 3 of them, right? Yeah,
all the stations have the same kiosks and everything, and sort of the same way to get in. Even a little security. It's not even as like going through an airline. It's much easier. You get through security within less than a minute. Honestly, you just put in your.
It's not like the airport.
Yeah, you don't have to take off your shoes or anything like that and get groped down by. Yeah, TSA. Getting groped down by a sweaty, very sussy TSA agents. So that's
like a lewd Japanese anime.
Yeah, no, I don't want the TSA's tentacles already. The government has enough tentacles in places where it should be, So why do I have to go ahead and be subject to it? It's like I'm being treated worse than a prisoner in my own country. Just go ahead and take a flight that I paid for. Why do I have to do that? For all the government agencies, for all the Department of Homeland of Security and everywhere else, and the NSA and the TSA and everybody getting into our, you think they would know, who to look for, not start groping down grannies, in case they have a bomb, even though they fail 95% of the time.
Not groping down everybody.
Yeah, this actually happened to me one time. Going to Orlando, I accidentally brought on one of my little Swiss knife. Funny enough, it was a little the Swiss Army knife, very little one, and it had "Don't Tread on Me" on it. It was a yellow one that my best friend gave to me. And I got off the plane and I said I need to open this little thing, and I had it there. I'm like, wait a second, did I get through security and everything through that with that? Oh, okay. And then I'm like, okay, now I have to go back through Orlando. So they caught me through Orlando, and I had to go ahead and send it. And the thing is that TSA, it's not like they arrest you or anything like that if you have something like that. So all they're going to have to do is ask you to pay a ridiculous amount of money to go ahead and send it through the mail. You're paying like $20, $25, to send a little envelope back at home. And it'll take you 2 or 3 weeks before you get it back. It's really stupid.
Tell me about
it. I agree with that.
Yeah, it obviously, stuff like that is ridiculously unconstitutional. And, that, I don't know, maybe there'll be a place in time where we finally see that in the United States finally get taken off and ruled as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. I don't know.
Yep, I have a comment about
this
your
is another
video.
Consequence of federalizing something that isn't supposed to be federalized.
Yeah, I agree.
A comment about your video about millennials killing Amtrak.
Yeah, that was, again, that was, I will admit, that was sort of clickbait, but it had to do with that. It's really not millennials killing Amtrak, and obviously you can see that there's an age difference on Amtrak. It's that, especially people in our age group, we see Amtrak and it's like, what the heck is this? And that's basically was the impetus for me to start the club in the first place, was that I was sick and tired of how slow Amtrak was, and I we wanted what the rest of the world had. We're supposed to be the greatest country in the world, and we can't even have trains that go 100 miles an hour.
Like your Amtrak rant video.
Yeah. And here it's saying, Dimitri, you had the balls to do what anybody else wouldn't do. Let's be honest. You had the balls.
Yeah, I've always been told that, you know.
People who needed to be called.
As another as a fictional Cuban would say in a certain 1980s film that I'm a fan of, you know, you gotta have the cojones, you know. So I got that, you know, but it's. And I have gotten up there. I think like the one video where people get like, you know, saying like, oh my God, what are you doing, was the North Miami Beach transit video, where I just basically went ahead and just showed them all like, look, you've been wasting all our money and all our time. Here's all the evidence and here's all the stuff. And they got the, you know, yeah, I was taking off the time, but afterwards, you know, people were clapping when I was going off. And then they started going off after the commissioners, you know, for wasting everybody's money and time, because they promised since the 1980s that they were going to have the Miami-Dade Metro Rail covering the county, but they lied.
And if I'm right, some of them got arrested after that. Am I right? Because you exposed them.
Yeah, well, it weren't arrested for that. I mean, it's Miami. You know, where I lived in North Miami Beach, we had 3 mayors in a row who were arrested and resigned for multiple different reasons, whether it was sex trafficking, whether it was embezzlement of election funds,
just wasting money.
Yeah, you know, this is American politics. You know, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Like, when you went off on that one and you exposed him, like that one that you got exposed, like he actually got in trouble, if I'm right, because of you.
I wouldn't say in trouble. By the way, if you guys are hearing booms and pops on the microphone, it's not because I live in the ghetto. It's because everybody's putting on fireworks. Okay, I'm fine. You know, it's okay. So I mean, it's what it is.
The 4th of July.
Yeah.
You're probably hearing it in background. Of
well, and the thing is, in Indiana, I mean, they're having fireworks all throughout the summer. I mean, that is just a thing. Everybody's just having fireworks every day, every night throughout the whole summer. Okay? But of course, you know, you have the peak of it at the 4th of July. You know, it's the 4th of July, for goodness sake. Or, you know, Memorial Day, too, and other places. But definitely the 4th of July.
They have them throughout the summer.
Yeah. You know, and it is nice in the summer here. I do got to say, you know, seeing the fireflies and whatnot. Although summer is my least favorite season because I just hate the heat. I hate the bugs.
Oh my God, I know how that feels, Dimitri.
Yeah,
like,
look,
I hate summer.
I like going through the cold. You know, I love the winter. I love the snow. I would be hiking for, you know, 5 miles in the snow, you know, listening to the Rocky IV soundtrack and getting on top of a hill, be like, Drago! You know, you can't do that in Miami. You know, so
like my favorite is the fall and winter. Like I love the fall colors. Like literally having a train come through the mountain with those fall colors. Oh my God!
Yeah,
correct.
I would say some of my fondest memories on Amtrak is taking the train in the fall or the winter to go ahead and visit family, either for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. And seeing the change as you go up the different climate, you know, the Köppen climate areas through the United States. And you see the change from palm trees, and it's just, you know, kind of, you know, this green, this kind of dull green, the same trees over and over again and flat, to, you know, you start getting the rolling hills, and the foliage starts changing, and you start seeing the changes, the reds and browns and the yellows of the leaves in the fall, and then you start seeing some snow in patches and areas. It's really nice to see that, and that's the thing that, you know, being on a train really gives the opportunity to see that going through a country and really appreciate the natural beauty. And also in some urban areas you can't see the beauty unless you're going through Baltimore. Then you're like, oh, what happened here? What, you know, did the Russians go through Baltimore or something? You know, but you know, it's just to go ahead and just see the beauty of the country. And I'm pretty sure, look, Baltimore used to be one of the richest cities in America. You know, after Detroit, Baltimore was for a time the richest city in America. It's just very sad what has happened to American urban areas and American cities. It has been quite awful. I mean, look, if you were that Marine that was, you know, born 100 years ago, you know, you've seen the height of American prosperity. And now to see it now, it's just, you know, it's got to be a nightmare, honestly. It's a waking nightmare. You know, you could see it in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dimitri, like I only been on a train one time, and that was at North Carolina Transportation Museum up in North Carolina. But I have never rode Amtrak before. But I have went up to the mountains during the fall time, coming from the coast. Like coming from the coast where I live down near the coast here in Toronto, and seeing the swamp and stuff, and the palm tree, and then started seeing wooded area, like not like that swampy wooded area, but like the wooded area with pine trees instead. I go inland and then start seeing the color change, and then you start seeing the mountain peaks that are in the distance with the blue haze. That's beautiful. Like just seeing the mountain in distance, knowing that you're about to get into the mountain.
Yeah.
Really super, because that's beautiful. Like
Yeah, I just like that sort of setting. You know, mountains, forest. That's my type of go-to place.
mine too. And I'll be honest, beaches are overrated. Some are overrated. Am I right?
Look, I being like born and living most of the time in North Miami Beach, which doesn't actually have a beach, but where you're 5 minutes away from the beach. Most people in Florida don't really go to the beach that often. Okay, and it's kind of sad. Look, and much of South Florida isn't like my favorite beach in Florida is probably Ormond Beach. Okay, or St. Augustine Beach. I love that part of northern Florida. That's nice.
Most of those beachgoers are like tourists, probably.
Yeah, it's mostly tourists. Now Hollywood Beach is nice. You know, you have the broad walk. It is nice.
Actually, believe it or not, some residents are actually enjoying the beach, and that's why there's more happiness in southern Florida than there is in Midwestern states.
Well, there is. I mean, even Miami has gotten rated as one of the most depressing cities one time, and I think it's just more to do. Yeah, it's less to do with the weather and just more to do with the lifestyle of Miami. Is like you're kind of forced to either, show off or either. Oh man, I'm trying to think of the term. Anyway. The point is that you have a major discrepancy between the very rich and the very poor. You know, Miami's number 2 after Los Angeles, and it's kind of like, it's like living in Cyberpunk 2077 Night City sort of style, right? You're either very rich, flying in the hover cars, or you're in the dregs of society, very poor. Now, it's not like that all over Miami. I'm not saying that it's like, it's terrible. You can't go there. It's like living like Elysium. But, it's...
Certainly isn't true.
Yeah, but
Even
anyway.
though there's like a few blocks away from a poor neighborhood, there's like a very nice house, big nice house.
Yeah, look, and I would say that sort of thing is very much evident in very many American cities. We're not talking about. It's not like levels of Detroit. If people thought Detroit was bad when the first RoboCop came out in the '80s, which it was bad. And it was funny. I was watching this week. Because it was June the 29th, I put on a Taxi Driver because I've seen clips of it. I've just never actually sat down to go ahead and see Taxi Driver, and I finally saw it. Yeah, the movie. Look, and I'm familiar with New York in the 70s. One of my favorite cities was series was Death Wish, which really started in New York in the New York in the 70s was an absolute degenerate cesspool. It was awful. And Taxi Driver takes place in that same sort of setting, which if you guys have seen Joker, it kind of plays off of that, sort of setting as well. Joker is kind of a copy of Taxi Driver, let's be honest. But, it's... that was how bad American cities were, and they haven't really, you've seen some get better, but there's a lot of cities that have just gone down even worse.
Indianapolis isn't really that far from what Miami has been going through.
Indianapolis has seen, and there's a lot of other Midwestern cities that have seen a bit of growth. I think a lot of the growth was interrupted during the coup, because when I was in Indianapolis, I definitely saw that the city was, they were growing, it was cleaning up, there wasn't as many homeless on the street as there used to be before, and it was starting to clean up. The minute March of 2020 hits, it gets bananas. Most places have.
Demetria,
yeah.
I'm going to tell you that South Carolina, it might blow your mind, but South Carolina, we ranked 44 for the worst state, and North Carolina ranked 5th for the best state. Like, literally, that's crazy. Like, we are 44th worst state, and North Carolina is the 5th best state.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with because you got to see where they take these studies and like what are the factors and what are they measuring to say is the best. Yeah. So and I think that because there's a lot of business, especially in places like Charlotte, North Carolina, there's been a lot of business growth in those areas, and you haven't really seen as much as in South Carolina, although it has been starting to. Yeah.
Like, thing is, our business is starting to grow again. Like, back about 5 years ago, we ranked at the number 10 best state, and I don't know what the heck happened. We went from nearly in the top 10 best state to down to near the bottom with some of the worst states.
Yeah, and you, again, when it comes to these studies, you gotta take it with a grain of salt sometimes, and you gotta look at multiple studies and look especially because you can't just look at the headlines. You can't just say, "Well, South Carolina is the fifth worst state in the United States." You just look at it like that. You say, "Well, based on what?" It's not based on a dream or based on the sources came to me through the ephemeral plane and just popped up in my dream. What are they basing these sources off of? Are they basing it off of GDI? Are they basing it off of living expenses? What are they basing it off of? Because Portland was ranked I think number 1 or number 2 best American city one time, or best cities to live in the entire world. Because Tokyo, I think, ranked number 1 or number 2 on that list, followed with either Amsterdam or some other European
Paris,
cities.
Right?
No, Paris. I don't think Paris was on the list. Yeah, look at Portland now. I don't want to. Nobody wants to live in Portland now. Are you kidding me? Portland is no.
Like, literally, that city have went downhill ever since then. Now,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, I'll be honest, like, the best states right now with the most happiness is North Carolina, Maine, Vermont, and New Haven. Like, all the mountain states in North Carolina. Like,
Talking about
Vermont,
New Haven, you talking about Connecticut?
yeah, Connecticut.
Okay.
Like New Haven?
Yeah. Like, Maine ranked number 1, actually. Maine is the number 1 best state right now.
Yeah, but you got to look at these,
New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's like they're based on what? Like, what are these, based on? Like, for example, like Portland was, went on that same list as, Tokyo and other cities. It was like ranked like 24th, like best in the world or something like that. And the reason why is that they say, oh, we named, transportation, access to transportation was one of the biggest things. Living space, etc., all that sort of factored in. And that's the thing is, like, when you see what is it that makes a city or any place to live in, right? Because you don't if you don't want to live in a city, you don't have to live in a city, right? Most people for most of human history did not live in cities. Okay, cities were a natural rate of growth
They
and
lived in small towns.
yeah, they lived in small towns. Now you did have cities, but the cities were like more places for people to congregate to and go to where ideas got moved. Yeah, and etc. Yeah. Well, most people when they worked, they usually worked where they were situated in. If you lived in a city, you worked in the city. If you lived in the country, you worked in the country. The problem is. Yeah, you have the problem now with people living in the suburbs, which are the worst of both worlds, and working in the city.
Dimitri, let me bring it up. The suburbs are cancer. They are cesspools. And here's something that I was thinking about it for 5 days or so. With the amount of shootings that have been happening here in the U.S., some of them started when the suburbs started popping up. Like, think about it. Maybe if we get rid of the suburbs, maybe the mass shootings would maybe stop.
Yeah,
Am I right?
I said that, and I think honestly because the suburbs perpetuate this environment where it wasn't like how it was back then. Because at least when the suburbs started, there was at least people kind of got together a little bit, but it's fizzled down very quickly. And you still have,
There's an inclination that the thing that draws people to the suburbs is the inclination that people want all their space and their property.
Yeah, it becomes very individual. everybody's kind of in their own cells. It's very individualistic in the suburbs, right? Because you have your lawn, and you have your house, and you have your this and your that. Whereas if you live in the city, you have your apartment or you have your house, but you also live next to other people. Or if you're in a rural environment, you have your city, not your city, you have your house and you have your land, but you're sharing in cohesion with your land and everybody else, or your neighbor that's half a mile down the road, etc. So you have that sort of community.
I actually did on Google Maps. I actually did the time it takes to get for the entire city ban of Bern, Switzerland, from one side of the city to literally the other side of the urbanized area, where literally both sides are from rural areas at the edges and the outskirts.
Yeah.
The time between those two edges is just 12 minutes.
12 minutes by what?
That by car.
Yeah.
On superhighways.
Yeah, I agree because
on the other hand, in South Florida,
go ahead, Focus. You were saying?
Miami's just like one big gigalopolis with Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach all collaborated in. Mm-hmm. This metro area starts at Homestead and ends just north of Jupiter.
Guys,
the time it takes to get through it is 2 hours. Exactly.
Yeah. Focus was saying something. What was it you were saying?
Because just now you said something about the fact that crime started when the suburbs are expanding. Is it also because when Ash said that Bern can be traveled by car by 12 minutes, is it the fact that it also because the fact that the city is so spread out, the police itself could not handle the size of the city?
No, I think it's the police is a whole different issue, and especially here in the United States, it's very. I got a lot to say about the police, and I'm not gonna really say it here. I've said it before. Honestly, it's really more to do with the community, right? Even if you take the police out of the equation, right? If you have communities that are much more banded together, that know what's going on, that are much more cohesive. You don't really have that scenario where you have so many people, snapping and going postal. So you have to have, even back, you look at cities back in the United States. I mean, you had a lot of different communities put together. Okay, I mean, you still had. That's the thing, people think that in the United States that everybody got along, perfectly fine. That's absolutely not true, and I think people are starting to get that, where they're on sides. But you had a lot of people from multiple places in Europe, and it wasn't like everybody from Europe was all the same. No, you had the Polish community, the Italian community, the Germans, the Danes, the Anglos, the Germans. Everybody else was having their own little enclave. So if you were Italian and you moved over to, let's say, Cincinnati, there was an Italian enclave in Cincinnati where you went into, and you may have been Catholic, or another German would have been Catholic, but they kind of had their own churches, because when I went to Cincinnati one time, I was trying to look for a Catholic Latin mass, and it was actually, it was easy to find. They had an Italian parish, there was a German parish that even had German masses too. So, I mean, you still have those different communities, and that's made an implant in America. It was afterwards, after the post-World War II era, where you started to see that shift away, that they started to push people out of cities and into suburbs, where now all those cultures and all those, the diversity that we did have in America before, this kind of pushed on diversity, all disappeared. Now everybody went into the suburb, and they all kind of, you can have this sort of, this suburbanus Americanus is what I call it, the suburban American, where they got a potbelly that's, coming up over their t-shirt, and like this sort of fupa looking disgusting sort of thing. They're wearing sandals and shorts. They watch football every Sunday, even though the NFL hates them. They still keep watching NASCAR, and and they keep thinking that everything is perfectly fine and everything else, right? They just kind of sleepwalk through life. And this is the problem with with America nowadays, is that you have a community. It's not the same anymore. It's not the picture that we keep showing of like the buff Uncle Sam, or even like this guy, this veteran. The people that he lived with back then looked completely different than what Americans look like now.
We used to have trains culture in America, and
Yeah,
stopped.
and I got to get back to the thing is, again, doing that video was hard because that was the last video I did with Holly. Was we went to the Cincinnati museum over inside the Cincinnati Union Station, because they have a whole museum there about what Cincinnati was
They have
before.
a museum.
Yeah, and they have the
You went into the Florida East Coast Museum.
yeah, I went into there too. But the thing is that in the Cincinnati Museum, they had a whole exhibit on the streetcar that they used to have, and they actually had the largest scale streetcar scale model system.
Interurbans.
Yeah, but they showed you what life was like on the streetcars, and it was a lot more people. Actually, there was a lot like community building was a lot better, more cohesive on the streetcars because people got together, they talked to them too. Yeah, and the thing is, it connected people much more consistently and conveniently. Again, it was a different type of people too, so it wasn't like on the bus, because people now, the reason why a lot of people don't want to go on the bus, A, for convenience, and number two, the reason that I get from people is that they feel the buses are unsafe. And especially in America, in 2020s, America,
Oh my God, I know
you can
about
understand, and I've seen it before.
Buses here in, Dimitri, the buses here in Charleston are not even safe sometimes. Like, we have people who want to fight our people on the bus.
Yeah, and I think that can be for a number of different reasons, but I would say a reason that we can talk about here on the club, it has to do with these. Now, I wouldn't say just the scheduling, but the way that the buses are mapped out. They're not mapped out as they should be, like in different areas. You don't have a cohesive infrastructure, transportation infrastructure network that you should have in cities, so it doesn't include people to go in there. That's the problem. So you don't.
Some of them in NYC are like bus only lanes.
Yeah, and there's different cities. I mean, even here in Indianapolis, we have the Indigo, which is basically a glorified bus rapid transit. That's an electric bus that it's basically trying to copy what a streetcar would be. Yeah, or what light rail should be, but it's just a bus, honestly. And
Dimitri, they're talking about doing a rapid transit system here in Charleston, and I do not agree with it.
Yeah, go.
What we need is a rail system here, a commuter rail system.
You gotta go to those commission meetings or go to your transportation board meetings and start voicing it out, or getting other people along with you.
Doing BRT in my neck of the woods.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're approaching 10:30. I think we should go ahead and give it 5 more minutes and bring it to a close. Yeah. Any last words anybody wants to say?
Like, Dimitri, it's something I'm going to bring up. Like, every mass shooting here in the U.S., if you did think about it, every mass shooting here in the U.S., all the shooters come from the suburbs. Have you ever noticed that? Yeah,
that's one. And here's the thing when it comes to that, okay? It has nothing to do with the proliferation of guns. Because here's the thing, I've noticed this with all the last mass shooters, especially the last big two, okay? These were kids, okay, or younger guys or whatever, okay? They're all men, young men that don't have any friends or anything like that, so they're not that social. They've all had issues with killing, because both of them, the one in Uvalde and the one in Buffalo, tortured and killed cats and stuff like that. So there was something screwy in their heads. They were already both on the FBI radars, but unfortunately, instead of the FBI or the local law enforcement saying, "Hey, we heard this guy was going to go ahead and shoot up a school," or threaten to shoot up a school, all of a sudden the kid comes up with a $2,000 Daniel Defense DDM 47, which when I was working back at Cabela's, I sold a couple of those. Those are expensive. Okay, those are $1,900 AR-15s. Okay, 5,000 rounds of ammo. Yeah, level 4 body armor. All this stuff. Like, where does an 18-year-old kid working at Wendy's get access to this amount of equipment? Okay, and the FBI knows nothing about it. Please, that's. It's
fishy there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's not that these. Yeah. The problem is that we have a system when it goes down to the root. we have a system and environment that is bringing up these kids, and whether or not that people believe that the FBI is grooming these kids on Discord servers or 4chan or 2chan or whatever in order to go ahead and push them to go make mass shootings or anything like that. The problem is that you have an environment, right? You have this poison tree that's just dropping these apples, instead of, having that tree there and saying, oh, it's something else. No, cut down the frickin' tree so we don't keep having this happen.
Yeah, that means getting rid of the cover.
Here's another big ugly problem that might be, I said to come from suburbs. Racism and Jim Crow laws.
Well, that's a whole other thing, Darius, and we can't be, that's something we can't really go into over here, because of YouTube.
And the boom of suburbs came after we defeated the Nazis that embraced fascism.
Well, Darius, look, we already talked about this before, man.
Why is it from every angle point of view, suburbs look bad?
That has to do with the suburbs. Darius, the suburbs were already planted before World War II, okay? But nobody really came up with the idea until after World War II, when the government started to restructure the way that urban environments and everything worked.
Yeah, Dimitri is right about this. Think about it. These suburbs been around since the late 20s, early 30s, and thing is, they really started matting our country up in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, and it didn't really catch on until afterwards. That was the issue. That's the problem. All right. Well, I think it's 10:31 now. I think we're good to go, guys.
But Dimitri, before we go, do you think North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia will get a high-speed rail before 2023? Or not 2023.
I was gonna say 2023 is 6 months away.
No, I meant 2030.
I would give it a 55% chance, and the reason why I'm saying a 55% chance is that you'll have a company or maybe Brightline come up at the time it takes. We're talking about 2023 is right around the corner, so we're giving about 7 years, right, before anything goes. Yeah. It could be in infancy now, where some sort of idea is starting to come up or in the talks. Yeah, but the problem, I would say the reason why I'm giving a 55% chance is that it could be done by 2028 or 2029, and we're really cutting close to 2030. Okay.
Yeah, let me bring it up. They're already talking about this stuff. They're already doing route planning and stuff.
Yeah, and it has less to do with the route planning, because you can have, like the old joke in up in Canada, high speed rail plans. We're gonna make another high speed rail to study. Spend millions of dollars on another high speed rail study.
Like that video. You want to know how it would be to be able to get from Montreal to Toronto in as little as 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and find out what that will be like.
Oh, is it? They spent
high-speed rails.
They spent like $13 million or something ridiculous on just writing up 50 pages of stuff that anybody, you could have taken, 2 kids in college to write that up. You have to spend $13 million of the public taxpayers' coffers in order to cough this thing off.
Money.
Yeah. So I think something like that can absolutely happen, but this thing, I would say 55% now. If you ask me the same question in July of 2023, I'm gonna say 45% chance. And every single year, I'm gonna deck that down 10%, because that's the thing. Time is of the essence, and unfortunately, the United States laws and zoning environment, yes, the regulations, they're not conducive to having timely construction. So that's an issue. Yeah.
Amtrak loves to dilly-dally.
Yeah.
But
it's not just Amtrak, it's the federal government as a whole.
Yeah.
But let me just tell you guys this real quick. When I was up in North Carolina on the 4th and 5th, when we were at the North Carolina bus terminal right there near the Amtrak station, they were upgrading everything, making it ready, and I talked to one of the construction worker, and he said that they're getting it ready for the next couple of years when they start thinking about building high-speed rail. So they're getting it prepped and ready, and getting that out of the way when when it comes time to start building high-speed rail. So
Yeah,
they're
they can do it. I think they can do it.
So they're getting it ready. They're getting the Amtrak and the whole Union Station in North Carolina up and ready for when the time comes.
Yeah.
They
Let's.
need
So
new
I do
equipment
see it happening.
first.
Hopefully, it doesn't end up like another Miami Central Station in the airport, where Amtrak doesn't get in there for like another 7 years because they miscalculated the length needed for the train to get into there. That was a disaster.
They could
I
go
know.
right into Brightline's Miami Central Station.
Yeah, Brightline's
Or
not
is
gonna.
that- They're not gonna let.
As when I went out there at Brightline and some people that I still know at Brightline, they don't want anything to do with Amtrak. They don't want to touch Amtrak. The less that Amtrak is mentioned anywhere in the circles, the better. The only time they want to have any sort of, and you've seen this in the sort of meetings or anything like that with the Senate meetings on passenger rail transportation and high-speed rail. Okay, Amtrak will go ahead and say something and try to gloat that we're still around, we're still here, we're the only operator of high-speed rail in the United States, and everybody goes to Brightline, to go ahead and think of some sort of solution. And Brightline's just playing their own game, which is what I said. You got to play. You want to win a game, make your own game and play it your way. Okay, you cannot play the game that everybody else has been playing for the last 50 years. It hasn't been working. It is a rigged game. It's rigged.
The nationalization doesn't work.
Now I'll bring it up. When Brightline do get the trains up and running around December from Miami to Orlando. When they do get it up and running this December, because they're probably going to get it done because they're already 85% complete with the line.
Yeah.
85% complete. They are getting it done fast.
No,
I
yeah.
thought it was closer to 80%.
No, 85.
Well,
it's like every month, man. They're just pushing through. They're like, oh, we're 85% done, and then next month or like a month from now or two, they'll be 90% done.
90%.
Yeah.
Like literally, they're going so fast. They're running out of ballots. That's how fast they're building it.
They're running out of what?
They're running out of
new
ballots.
ballots.
So
Oh, ballots.
Ordered up from Canada.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, America is not used to building this fast. You go to other countries like in, South Korea, China, they have been able to build high-speed rail at some rates at, a mile a day. It's very easy to be able to do that if you know what you're doing and you have a system put in place to get that done. Which is
They're
what
not dilly-dally.
Yeah, which is what Brightline has done. They were able to do the box jacking method, on their
Is regulations and so many government regulations here.
Yeah, but Brightline was able to go ahead and do their box jack method underneath a bridge instead of going ahead and closing it up for months. No, they were able to get that done within less than a week or two. Because they already had a precast span already done. They brought it over there. They brought everything that they needed up and just pushed it into there little by little and got it done.
They could do the box jack method for the new Baltimore tunnel or the Gateway project.
Oh yeah, they're not going to do that, man. I can tell you with like 90% certainty they're not going to do that. There's at least there'll be somebody online. I mean, even people like Alan Levy, have said that there was multiple different new ways in order to go ahead and build stuff for a lot cheaper than what the government is already pressing for, or at least estimating what it could cost. But the problem is that the government doesn't want that. They want to get it at the bidder that is somebody they already know at a price that they have.
Money.
Yeah, a blank check, because it's about that revolving door. It's about going ahead and keeping business as usual. That's the problem.
And
All right.
everything with it, I do see when Brightline done.
Hello.
All right, Grambo, everybody, last word. We got 5 minutes, and then the train is coming to a close. I'm closing up the bar.
Man, I'm so sorry, literally. I miss so much.
It's all right, man. If whatever you got to say, last word. Put it in before I close the bar, man.
Well, all I can say is, in response to Renell, I think cooperation when it comes to Brightline and that other organization that you mentioned, What was it called, or at least the name that you referenced? I don't know.
Amtrak.
Yeah.
Maybe I forget too.
Yeah, but no. But speaking of Amtrak, I was wondering, any thoughts on the derailment that happened, with Amtrak? That already, 3 people were confirmed dead, but it's very much miraculous. And I'm still wondering, how the heck could that happen? Is basically my question.
Semi truck. They had a semi truck that was fully loaded on the tracks that the train hit
Oof.
tracks.
Huh?
That's how it happened. But let me get back to what I'm saying. Like after Brightline starts seeing this, our state are probably going to be looking at Florida saying, "Hey, we want that. We want it. Give up it." Am I right? Like Brightline, Ryan, when they get this done this December, heck, they're probably going to get it done sometime in September. You know, if everything goes right, they'll probably have it done in September.
Ahead of schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're already ahead of schedule right now because they were supposed to have trains up and running in 2023, but because ahead of time, they might have train up and running by December.
By Christmas time.
Yep,
Wow.
so they are building fast. Heck, they might have it up and running by September at the rate, you know? With how everything going, and if I'm right, when they do get everything up and running, the other state are probably going to start seeing it and say, "Hey, we need this. Hey, we want this," you know? Am I right, Demetrius?
Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Maybe states will hire Amtrak to do their, or hire Brightline to do their state-supported route.
That's what we've been seeing, at least in the last several meetings, at least.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I'd like to see them in my neck of the woods.
I mean, at least that's the good thing. I mean, if you're seeing a whole bunch of different state senators and reps going ahead and saying, hey, can you build something between, X and Y city? I mean, look. I mean, the demand is there. It's just now getting the supply through in order to go ahead and meet that demand, which is what Brightline is trying to do. All right, we got 2 more minutes left, guys.
I wouldn't be surprised if we one day see Brightline trains at Grand Central Terminal or Penn Station in New York.
That's I don't know about that yet. I mean, definitely I see it closer or a better chance of it going, let's say, Atlanta to Charlotte than up in the Northeast corridor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like New York, D.C., Philly, Baltimore.
Yeah, that's the Northeast corridor is a whole different can to deal with.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, Brightline going all the way up from here to the Northeast would be like if ocean liners were to still operate today, which is only one still operating, the Queen Mary 2.
Why are we bringing up ocean liners, man?
Because because of the practicality of travel.
I mean, I get that, but I mean, it's derailing, no pun intended.
I think, Brightline's proving, hey, maybe nationalization doesn't work so well.
I think it's just more to do with that their business method and the way that they've been running Amtrak. I mean, now they've been starting to really fix things. In the last 5 years, we've seen a lot of changes out of Amtrak than in the last 50. And that has to do with, and I think as what you said before, Renell, it has to do now with the coming pressure in the South with Brightline really pushing in and saying, this is the way to do a passenger way. This is the way. So now Amtrak is being, we gotta shape up or ship out.
It's like, oh boy, we gotta step our game up.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing all over the country, guys. All right, yep. I think we're set there. I think that's a good way to go ahead and end it.
Yep.
I think we're all good, guys.
I got work at 7 in the morning, so I gotta be be getting ready to go to bed.
No
so-
worries, guys. I appreciate it all, and thank you all for coming on board.
All right, later, Demetrius.
All right, guys. Later.
Later.
Take care, and thank
Later.
you, everybody.
Good night.
Good
Have a
night,
good
man.
4th of July.
Of course. Happy
Have a good
Happy
night,
Independence
Demetrius.
Day. Yes, Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
America.
Oh, Val said happy 4th.
All right. Happy 4th to her, too. All right, everybody.
Right.
That's
Later, Dino.
later, guys. Later, guys. Okay, that
Have a
is...
good night, everyone.
Yep. That is the end of our discussion, our lounge for today, folks. The train is coming to a close, and we thank you all for joining us all on board on the American Rail Club on this 246th year of American independence. Happy 4th of July weekend, everybody. Stay safe out there. Godspeed. We will see you all next time. Take care.